Here we go. Derbyites, we are back once again for a live stream for I think the last stop on the tour that is the pre-Oscars, precursors Derby. It's exhausting. It's sometimes maddening, but you know what? We love it. We love being here. We love doing it. It's what we live for. We've got the High Holy Day coming up in just a week's time. So I'm basically jumping out of my skin. And you know what's even better? The fact that I'm joined with these four amazing people, David, Chris, Joyce, and Sam. They're all dialing in from the tri-state area on the East Coast. Welcome, one and all. I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold Derby here in Sydney. It is 40 degrees today, which is about 115 for those of you who use Fahrenheit. And it's very hot. It's very hot. So if the internet goes down and we start melting, then I'm sorry, but Chris Rosen will take over as host. I've just put him in as host, okay? Now, we have already got quite a few people on this live stream joining us. We've got a few people in the chat room. Oh, no. Oh, God, Charles Bright's here. You know this is going to be problematic if Charles is here. Charles, just behave yourself. I don't want to see any rude comments from you. I don't want you to call me names, okay? Now, it's a big night tonight. It's the WGAs, the Writers Guild of America, East and West. So we're doing both. I don't know how that works, why there's two, but let's just go with it. We don't need to have the detail. So who would like to talk us through how important WGA awards are when it comes to the two screenplay awards at the Oscars? Because there is a mismatch, but they are still quite prescient, aren't they? Who would like to speak to this? Maybe one of our two experts.
Joyce, you should go. I feel like you have better data than me. I don't think there's a lot of correlation because so many of the screenplays are not eligible, I would say.
Yeah, I mean it's important in that it's, above the line because it's writing, but they have such strict rules about eligibility that there are a lot of screenplays, usually international screenplays, that are not eligible here. Like this year, Banshees of Inisherin is not eligible. All Quiet on the Western Front, not eligible. And so, yeah, last year there was even less overlap with the ineligible scripts. So obviously it's great if you win, but then it's like if your main rival is not here, what does it really mean? Although in this case, I think Everything Everywhere would still be winning original screenplay, even if Banshees were here.
Wow.
Joyce, let me ask you this. When was the last time the WGA winners did not win at neither one won at the Oscars?
We all remember when 8th grade won the WGA award and it wasn't nominated.
So what wasn't adapted that year though?
Adapted that year.
I'm just putting you on the spot because we could have both of the winners tonight could not win at the Oscars.
Adapted
I know, right?
That year was it was Can You Forgive Me?
Right.
Yeah.
And then at the Oscars it was Black Klansman, which won the BAFTA.
Right.
So if you're looking at last year, for example, Coda won, and Don't Look Up won. Adam McKay and David Sirota. I'm not quite remembering why Don't Look Up was able to win, but it didn't win the Oscar. Was there something else that wasn't eligible last year that made it through?
Belfast.
Of course, yeah. And so that's a good correlation for what might happen with the Banshees of Inisherin, because it wasn't eligible here, but it is obviously eligible at the Oscars. And by the way, just for people who aren't quite clear, this is a guild. So obviously it's it's like a union, and these scripts have to be produced under the jurisdiction of the WGA or under a collective bargaining agreement. This is the lawyer coming out of me now. And according to Wikipedia, only those collective bargaining agreements in Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, or the United Kingdom can be eligible. And so Banshees of Inisherin still wasn't able to make it through under their strict eligibility rules. It's irritating for us pundits, isn't it, Sam? Because, we just want it to all match. We don't care about all your legal crap. Just make it match. That makes it easier for us.
Yeah, it's exciting when something totally chaotic happens, like 8th grade. Like, I kind of live for a little bit of chaos when that can happen. But if you're trying to use it as I'm really trying to decide between Everything Everywhere or Banshees of Inisherin, what's going to take home the Oscar, depending on what happens tonight, it may not actually help you make that decision. You might still be just kind of stuck between two rocks there, as if I can use a everything everywhere reference.
I understood that reference.
Yeah, I liked it. So I just wanted to let you know that we have Ray Richmond, the amazing Ray Richmond, who's recently joined the Gold Derby team. He's at the WGA with our social media manager, Jacqueline Ben-Parat, and they'll be giving us the details as the night progresses. He's just said to us that host Janelle James is really connecting with her monologue. Big laughs. Geez, I wish I could see this. Like, can we please just televise or stream the PGA, the DGA, the WGA, or the GAs? Just stream them because, first of all, I love Janelle James. I think she's a legend. She's so funny. And secondly, there are enough nerds like us who would watch this stuff on YouTube or whatever. So just get it done. It's really not that hard. Okay? Yeah. So I just wanted to put that out there. Also, tonight, Chris Beecham, our one and only fearless leader, has reminded me that the Ace Eddies and the Cinematographers Guild are also happening tonight. So we'll be able to give you those updates as well. So this is going to be a really fun and exciting live stream. Stick with us. It only goes for 17 hours. It's not a big deal. You don't need to eat. You don't need to go to the bathroom. You just need to stick with us. Now, David, what are you most looking forward to tonight? Because there's so much.
I hate to derail the conversation so early. We're only 6 minutes in, but I'm so excited for the TV awards. I can't wait to see what's happening with Emmys. I'm looking ahead. So very exciting. We've got some great new series competing, some drama series. And as Sam was saying,
wants the good fight to win episodic drama. That's all.
Like,
not going to happen, but finally, I know a good group. But no, as Sam was saying earlier, I'm still with Banshees for the Oscar right now. I would have loved for this to have swayed me otherwise, and it can't. So, I think even with the winners we have, unless there's a really big surprise, maybe an adapted that changes our mind on where that's going to go. I don't know how much these are going to sway my picks for next week. So I'm just looking to a whole nother award season and a whole nother award show, to kind of help me get through the next, into the next cycle.
Unless one of the favorites just loses here, if something, and then you're like, well, that's really not going to win the Oscar then.
Well, if Women Talking doesn't win, not to say that it couldn't win next week, but that would shake my confidence in that pick. So we'll see.
That's the big one I think is Sarah Polly and whether she can actually win tonight, and then hopefully parlay that into a win next week for Women Talking, which was really just completely overlooked in so many categories, unfortunately. What a great movie. And I really hope she's able to win. And if not, I have this sneaking suspicion that maybe Top Gun Maverick might be able to do it, if enough people in the Academy and the WGA like it. I just wanted to quickly
hear now.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's my pick. I have Top Gun winning.
You do, yeah, I do as well. I don't buy the love for Women Talking. I think it just squeaked into Best Picture and it got nothing else. Just ridiculous.
Even if it won tonight, I don't know that I would pick it for the Oscar.
Yeah. And just as David N in our comments quite rightly says, women be talking according to
women are talking.
Women are talking. What are you doing? Give us the right name of the movie. The Ace Eddies have already started giving out. By the way, I'm totally with David here. Like, yes, the Oscars. Oh my God, this is a religion to us. But when the Emmys really kick in, that's when I really start to get excited. That's everything to me. Like, that's my oxygen. Okay, so like we've got Ace Eddies. Best drama series was, drum roll, Andor, and that just. My heart sings because that was my number one show of the season so far and of the year last year. I loved that so much. I'm so happy it won. And best limited series was, surprise, surprise, The White Lotus for Arrivederci. Loved that as well, particularly because it was set in Sicily, which is, the best location on earth apart from Sydney. And so I'm super excited about those two awards. Any comments on those two? Were they particularly surprising, do you think?
I think Andor wasn't necessarily guaranteed. They don't always go for that type of thing in terms of the script, but they're also they're nominated for their script tonight, so I'm interested to see if that can repeat a win later.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some more winners from Denton Davidson, our colleague. And by the way, Denton, in case you were wondering, he's actually one of the funniest people on this whole planet. Just wanted to let you know. So, best movie was Weird, the Al Yankovic story. That is just steamrolling now, all the way to Emmy night. That's how I see it. Best feature documentary at the Ace Eddies was Fire of Love. That helps. It's it's odds perhaps for the Oscars next week. I think it's that documentary race. We should talk about that later. That's a really difficult one for me. I just can't make it out. Anyway, best single camera comedy was The Bear. We're not getting into a debate tonight about whether The Bear is a comedy or not, because Ray and Tony will start having a fight, and I just don't want to see mum and dad fighting. So
I do not care at all. So they're not breaking the rule.
Exactly.
So do not care.
just yeah, it's in the comedy series category, and that's the end of it. Best multi-camera comedy editing, The Neighborhood. Okay, interesting. And best variety show, Black Lady Sketch Show. Maybe a slight surprise there. Very happy for Robin Thede and that whole team, because that show is so amazing. Any comments at all on those winners?
I got absolutely annihilated on my picks based on those. I think I got one right. I think I got The Bear. Everything else I was wrong. I picked the wrong White Lotus episode because I was like, the editing in the other episode was awesome because it's like really tense, but they just went with the finale, sure. And then Andor I did not have because I had Euphoria winning, which won at the Emmys, I believe, for that same episode. So no, I did not do very well there at all. So there was nice to hear a lot of surprises on this end.
But you know,
I got Arrivederci right. I looked at the odds and I was like, why are people picking this one? I'm gonna go the finale. They're totally gonna go the finale. So I got that one right.
I should have listened to you. Better.
You know what though? Joyce and Chris, you can't win everything. You just won the Independent Spirits predictions.
Yeah, but that was so easy. I don't even count that.
It was easy, and yet I still bombed. So let's not get too excited. Also, there's been a few comments in I just wanted to acknowledge, and I did acknowledge this in our private Slack channel for Gold Derby, that Joyce and Chris have been putting out these. I don't even know if it's weekly anymore. It's almost daily. It just seems like it's constant. It's constant.
It's weekly, but there's been a post award show.
Yeah, we have to do it after the show, guys.
Yeah,
true.
Like after the tags.
So it's basically like you can't escape these two people. They're in our lives, and everyone loves you, and you get amazing engagement. The comments on YouTube, I was reading them the other day because I was just having a bad day. So I'm like, I just want to read something nice.
So everyone you read internet comments to make yourself.
I normally, because the internet comments about me are horrifying, trust me. But the internet comments about you guys are so positive. Everyone loves you. You're doing such a good job. So I just want to acknowledge that publicly, that we're very grateful to have you both doing your daily whatever it is.
Thank you. Your check's in the mail. It'll take 7 years to get there.
We'll say Venmo. Every commenter gets Venmo.
Those are all just your burners, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because that's the US dollar is really strong right now, so that's actually really good for me. Now I'm being told Janelle's jokes are not really connecting anymore. So Ray, what is it? Like, can you just give me one story? I just can't keep up. But she's making a joke out of her bombing. So
Ray, hold up one finger if you could hear us, and then two if she's bombing worse than Hassan Minaj did at the Spirit Awards.
Who's gonna crawl?
What happened? What did he? Oh, he is so funny. I love Hassan Minaj's comedy, but he just wasn't working like yesterday. It just anyone got any thoughts? Like he was like angry. Weird.
Yeah, it was not the greatest. I don't know. It was some of the stuff I thought was funny, and some of it was just really not. I don't know. The bit he did. Did you guys all see the bit he did, or trying to get the YouTube thumbnails, and everyone just hid? Amazing stuff. Kate Blanchett and Todd Field continuing to win award season, hiding under the table. So good. But it's like, wow, even Regina Hall wouldn't play with that bit. She was just like, I'm under the table too.
I just love that Kate Blanchett was like, I am not participating, but also will fully steal this award show moment from the host.
Amazing. They should have let her host as Lydia Tarr next year's Spirit Awards if they're streaming.
Why
on
didn't you
YouTube
get
again.
Lydia Tarr to do this?
I don't know.
Mistake.
It's a really, really important question. We have so much more to talk about, so let's get into it. I don't actually have the running for order. Does anyone have that for tonight? I just haven't had a chance to find that. It could be on our website. Let's check. But okay, I'm getting more updates, so I'll just quickly let you know while we're looking. So Gina Prince Bythewood is currently accepting her Golden Eddie Honorary Award. Congratulations to her. She is such a talented filmmaker, and I'm very happy that she's getting that honor. Bob Odenkirk welcomes people to the DGA Awards at the WGA Awards. So that's a bit of a faux pas, but we'll accept it because he is a legend. Right. So I don't know what the first award's going to be at the WGAs.
Last year, the first one was adapted screenplay.
Okay, good. So adapted screenplay, let's just go through the nominees. That is Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, screenplay by Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert Cole, story by Ryan Coogler, based on the Marvel Comics, obviously. A Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery written by Ryan Johnson, based on the character Benoit Blanc, created by him. She Said, so happy that She Said's in this, by the way. Screenplay by Rebecca Lenkowitz, based on the New York Times investigation by Jodie Cantor, Megan Twohey, Rebecca Corbett, and the book She Said by Jodie Cantor and Megan Twohey. Top Gun Maverick, screenplay by Aaron Kruger and Eric Warren Singer, and Christopher McQuarrie, story by Peter Craig and Justin Marks, based on characters created by Jim Cash and Jack Epps Jr. And Women Talking, screenplay by Sarah Polly, based upon the book by Miriam, I can't say her last name, Toes. Oh, terrible. There you go. Let's just blame it on my accent. So this is a big one because I really think that Glass Onion could take this out. Huge shock. Top Gun Maverick is absolutely in play, and Women Talking is probably the favorite, but it's not a all out and out favorite. So what do you all think? Let's go one by one. Who wants to start? Just go for it.
I think it's Women Talking, but I just would like chaos for like something like She Said to come in. So I think Women Talking.
I think we already have a winner, Rob.
Oh, shit. Thank you. The winner is, do you want to, you announce that, David? Go for it.
Ray Richmond has announced to us that Women Talking has indeed won this.
Oh, wow.
Women be winning.
Nice. That's good.
Women are winning.
Women be winning next
Women
week.
have winning.
Women are winning right now.
They spoke. The only woman on this live chat is Joyce Eng, and so I would like you, Joyce, to react to that news, please.
Oh, I get to speak. A woman.
You do.
A big win for Women Talking. It also won the Scripter last night. That one was more expected, I guess. But yeah, it has to face off against All Quiet next week, which was not here, and that won BAFTA, and it's obviously the stronger movie, but also war films are not generally seen as writing achievements. And I don't know if that is the best adaptation of the book. But it is the stronger movie than Women Talking. I did feel emboldened, like right after nominations, that it got into Best Picture, Women Talking, because I think that made people be like, I can predict it for adapted screenplay, but it's still pretty weak. So I don't know. I guess it's like, how many do I think All Quiet will win next week?
Wow. Well, I think David's comment here is so brilliant because Joyce talk Eng. And, I have a theory, everybody. I was thinking about this the other day, again, because I need to get out more. And that is, when you're thinking about what this category actually is supposed to be, it's adapted screenplay. And, aren't really, strictly speaking, the only two adaptations in the Oscar category, All Quiet and Women Talking. When you're thinking of a novel, I'm thinking about adapting a novel because that is like the traditional way that films are adapted from primary source. I just feel like it's a really good example of adaptation. Sarah Polley's work. I haven't read the novel, but I've been told that it's a really, really beautiful way that she has structured her screenplay. Does anyone have any comments on whether that matters at the Oscars and whether they care about whether something's adapted or whether it's just they just like their favorite movie and that's it?
I think they probably just vote for their favorite out of them. I've always kind of felt weird about the Oscars rule where if it's a reoccurring character, then it has to be adapted. Like Glass Onion to me does not feel like in the same as the others, because sure, that character existed before, but he's not adapting a story. You could maybe make the case for Black Panther at the WGA because, you know, they might adapt pieces of different comic book storylines, but things like Glass Onion never fit to me in adaptation.
Yeah, it's still an original script.
Yeah, totally. So is Top Gun Maverick, really. And yet it's, I understand why it's there and fine, but I do want to speak a little bit about Top Gun Maverick because when it made it into the adapted screenplay category, when the Oscar nominations were announced, there was a lot of surprise, a lot of really pleasant surprise, because it's not a kind of movie that we would normally see in the category. And frankly, for those of us who loved Top Gun Maverick, I'm one of those people. I thought it was great. I had a really good time going to the cinema with my family with a huge bucket of popcorn. I'm just like a pig and just watched it and let it wash over me. And in the end, the Lady Gaga song, I was just in tears. It was brilliant, right? But one of the best things about the film for me was the screenplay. And that may be maybe not a popular opinion. I'd love to know what you guys think. Chris, David, what do you guys think about this screenplay for Top Gun Maverick?
I mean, I love it. So I'm way in. The whole thing. I thought it was great. It's good storytelling. It just is. It's like really good storytelling.
I like the script a lot. It's very clean and lean, which you can't say for a lot of screenplays. And some nominees this year too. So
yeah, there you go. We have another winner at the WGA. This is going thick and fast. This is not going to be like the last 2 weekends. TV animation was Rectify. So that's congratulations to them. Is that even in our prediction center? I don't think it is.
I don't think we did animation. I think
no. And no disrespect to the animation, but no, we can't do everything. Okay, we just cannot simply do everything. I'm just trying to figure out what the nominees were there, and I'm scrolling. Oh yeah, so it was Girls Just Want to The Simpsons. Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Tuca and Birdie for The Pain Garden. The Simpsons, Pixelated and Afraid. Undone. The Undone was the show. Rectify was the episode. So Undone is the show. That one. The Simpsons, The Sound of Bleeding Gums, and Bob's Burgers, To Bob or Not To Bob. Cool category. All right. So we're just going to hold on tight for the next award that Ray lets us know. So let's just go back to what we were talking about. So in the adapted screenplay category, you got All Quiet, Women Talking, Glass Onion, Top Gun Maverick, and Living. That's a killer category, by the way. Kazuo Ishiguro, one of the greatest novelists of all time, he's one of my heroes, was supposed to interview him last week, wasn't able to make it work because of the time zones. Our very good friend Tony Ruiz took over and did a beautiful job interviewing him, as usual. He's such a good interviewer. I would love for him to win. That's most likely not going to happen, but it's a really cool category. Were there any films that you can recall, everyone on this chat, that missed out on a nomination here that probably should have made it? I just can't think of any that should have made it over these 5, personally. What do you guys think?
I think adapted was a leaner race this year.
Yeah,
there were a lot of original.
Yeah, that's a really polite way to put it. That's really nice. I like that.
I'll say one that I liked. I loved the Batman, which I didn't expect because how many versions have we seen of the Batman now? But I thought Matt Reeves did such a phenomenal job. And in terms of adapting, I think it's my favorite version of Gotham I've ever seen. Some of that is also the production design and the way it's shot, but I thought he brought that whole world to life really, really well. So I'll put the Batman out there.
Yeah.
I'll raise my hand with a very the comments are going to be very unkind to me and say that I wish we had white noise in this category. People thought that film was a mess. I thought it was a great adaptation of the DeLillo novel, which is such a complicated book to adapt, and I thought it was done so well. I would have loved to have seen that get in here for Noah Baumbach's work, but alas, probably the only person who would say so.
Yeah.
Very, very early on, I thought that could be nominated a la Inherent Vice, but
yeah,
that just was not going to happen. I'll stump for She Said, which got paid dust completely this season. So,
what a great movie! That really was such a great film, and I'm surprised it wasn't able to make it through. But again, I think the category is really strong, and so I don't have an issue with any of those. But those three films that you guys just raised, I totally agree. We have another winner, everybody. In short form media, the nominees were Breakwater, Carpool Karaoke, The Series, and Three Busy Deborahs. And the winner for that one was Three Busy Deborahs. The writers there are Sandy Honig, Mitra Juhari, Sarah Sherman, Alyssa Stanoha, Diana Tay, and Evan Waite. Congratulations to them. I can't say I know what that is, but that's okay because we can't know everything. I have watched a little
title.
bit of it. Yeah, the titles are great. I'm thinking I just immediately thought about Everybody Loves Raymond, but I doubt that's what it is. Yeah, I just okay. So all right, we're just still talking. So, Women Talking wins a W. This was a comment from Tony Ruiz, who I just called out earlier. Women Talking wins a WGA. Who wins the adapted at the Oscars? And this is really the big question for us all, and we will all be trying to work this out over the next few days. I am just going to stick with Top Gun Maverick. I don't know. But I seem.
Hell yeah.
I'm in two minds. Are you going to do that, Chris?
No. I love it. I think I'm going to go maybe back to Women Talking.
Rob should. Rob really should.
Rob should, because it's better for you if I fail. The thing is, okay, so Women Talking won the Scripter. It's won the WGA. What I'd like to know is, has that happened recently and then they didn't win the Oscar? That's what I'm trying to work out, and that's probably not the case. I don't know. It's tough.
I also don't think the Oscars will go as hard on All Quiet as BAFTA did.
Yeah.
So is this one of the categories it can lose at the Oscars?
Yes.
And Sarah Polley has been everywhere and is probably pretty beloved. I would say
she's the only hope now for that movie, obviously.
So Edward Berger, I think, is doing another movie right now also. So it's been hard. He's been jetting back and forth between the countries. So I don't know. I could see Sarah Polley winning. Also, I was wondering this, do you think more people have seen Women Talking now in the Academy than saw it before the nominations, right? It was definitely one of the later ones to arrive. All Quiet, you could argue, was too, but it was hanging around for a while on Netflix. So you figure most people probably watched it. Women Talking came out so late and maybe was not a priority screener because, it seems like a pretty dark movie and you maybe not going to watch it. So it gets in and enough people watched it. It's very funny. No, it is. The two, I love Sheila McCarthy, right? Isn't it? She's great in it. But I don't know, maybe more people have seen it now. Maybe if the nominations were today instead of 6 weeks ago, it would have gotten maybe another nomination somewhere else, you could argue, and then maybe it ends up winning. I don't know. That was what I was wondering.
Maybe we're just maybe it's just overthinking it is just not really helpful, I suppose. This is an analogy. Is this an analogy? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying these days. The other day, I tweeted something about how I'm done overthinking this. And in the top 5 categories, I'm just going everything, everywhere, all at once. The Daniels, Michelle Yeoh, Austin Butler, Ke Kwan, and Jamie Lee Curtis. That's it. That's what I'm doing. That's what my gut's telling me. And I've done my research like an anti-vaxxer crazy person. And I'm that's what I'm doing. Then I got a bunch of people raising with me, quite rightly, when was the last time a film has won 3 of the 4 acting awards? And that's a very good point. So then I was oh shit, now I have to overthink it again. I'm trying not to overthink it. I'm trying to, live a more balanced life. So I'm so desperate to know what the four of you think about the top 5 categories, let alone the screenplays. They're giving me so much agita. But let's actually talk about this while we wait for them. Oh, sorry, before we go on, let me just pause. Best new TV series. Before I say who the winners are, I'm going to read out the nominees. Sorry, I'm just scrolling. Give me 1 second, unless someone else has it. New TV series is the nominees were Abbott Elementary, and/or Bad Sisters, The Bear, and Severance. By the way, that is a killer category. All 5 of those shows are amazing, but the winner is Severance. Congratulations to the team from Severance. Chris Black, Andrew Colville, Kari Drake, Darren Erickson, Mark Friedman, Helen Lee, Anna Oyang Monch, and Amanda Overton. And if I screwed up your last name, I'm very, very sorry. So back to what we were saying. Everything Everywhere All at Once has been winning Everything Everywhere All at Once. And so do we all agree that it's going to be a very good night for Everything Everywhere All at Once? And if not, why?
I think it'll be a great night for it. I have it winning 6 Oscars on Sunday.
Which ones are they? What Oscars are they winning? Do you recall?
I think it's going to win Best Picture. I have it. The Daniels taking Director. Ki Kwan is definitely going to win Supporting Actor, and I've switched to Jamie Lee Curtis for Supporting Actress. I have it taking Editing, and I think Michelle Yeoh will manage a Lead Actress win.
See, so we're on the same page. Editing for sure now. I'm done. It's not Eddie Hamilton from Top Gun, which is sad for him. But I just
especially when it won BAFTA.
It won. It was the only one it could actually win.
The only thing they did with it, yeah.
So yeah, okay. What about you, Chris? Are you?
Well, I have it winning Best Picture, obviously, and I have it for Best Editing, and I have Hugh Kwan for Best Supporting Actor, and Michelle Yeoh I switched to for Best Actress. And then I'm torn on Screenplay because I think it could actually win Screenplay. But I'm wondering, is there a world where they don't win Best Director and ends up being Spielberg anyway after all this? And I overthinking it this morning. I was like, man, I love Spielberg. What if he just wins? And I could see it happening, honestly. Like, it would not surprise me at all, even though it feels like he's completely done and like they should win because they've won everything. But I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to give them both director and screenplay. So I probably will pick both of them in there. And if one of them is wrong, that'll be fine. But I'm not ready to switch Jamie Lee Curtis yet because I just think her and Angela Bassett have such similar narratives that they're going to like split their own votes and Carrie Condon will win. I still remain pretty convinced that that'll happen, but I guess we'll see.
Really? Before I ask David and Joyce to pipe in, because this is really important. There's a lot of people who are saying Carrie Condon like as their prediction, and I mean I'm hope dicting that because I love her in that movie, but I don't see it. I just don't see Carrie Condon doing that. Why, Chris? What's your reasoning?
Well, she won BAFTA, which was I think big, and Banshees didn't like steamroll at BAFTA, right? Even though you could say it won 2 awards with her and Barry that you didn't maybe expect it. Or that you maybe did not expect. So I don't know. I think that there is a lot of support for her. And it definitely feels like Mark Rylance winning, like when he won over Stallone. I think the difference was Stallone was just not very well liked in the industry compared to like Angela Bassett and Jamie Lee Curtis, who both are apparently well liked, right? It seems. But I just think there's a lot of support for Banshees, even if it's not as strong as Everything Everywhere. And I just think in the end, like, people vote for their favorites and what they like, but I think a lot of people, like we've seen this before, where everyone loves Jamie Lee Curtis, but do they really love the performance? And in the end, they might just be like, well, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. The nomination's great, but I liked Carrie Condon in this movie more, and I'm going to vote for her. And if it's a 3-person race, then she could win in a very, very close race, and they should release the vote totals, which I think would be awesome. But maybe next year, I don't know.
We've always wanted that. Before I go to the two of you, I just wanted to mention that we have some more updates. Firstly, the showrunner for Severance, Dan Erickson, on the red carpet tonight, told us that he loves Gold Derby and he's always checking it. Thank you, Dan, for your support. We love Severance, so it's a 2-way relationship here. Thank you. And we have an Ace Eddie winner, a big one. Best Feature Drama. The winner is Top Gun Maverick, Eddie Hamilton. congratulations to him. That's very good for him. That's exactly what you want to happen on your way to the Dolby Theatre. So congratulations to him and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I still am predicting for the editing prize. What's the name of that editor, by the way? Someone? I just can't quite remember his name. But
Everything Everywhere, Paul Rogers.
Yeah, that's the one. I've seen a lot of thirst for him on Twitter. Like
a lot of people discovered that he was hot yesterday.
Yeah, like he's a really good-looking guy. Like, what are they expecting? Anyone who's below the line just looks like a.
Everyone is just ugly, like behind the scenes. That's why they're not in front of the camera.
Like, hot people can be talented. Okay, just look at us. All right. Anyway, so Joyce, what are your thoughts on what we were talking about with the top 5? Because then I'll just copy you.
You don't want to do that. No. I think with Everything Everywhere, it's just a matter of deciding how many Oscars it will win. So I have it in picture, director, and key. So those are locks. Like they're definitely winning those 3. So then it's like, how many more do you think it's going to win? So I do think it's going to win editing. And I think it's going to win screenplay. I think this is going to be one of those years like the Birdman year where they're just going to go down the line, like picture, director, screenplay. And that year was another year when people wanted them to spread the wealth and maybe, give like Wes Anderson or Richard Linklater a consolation Oscar like for their screenplay or something. And like that just did not happen. So because the movie is so beloved, I think it could just win those 3. I go back and forth all the time on actress. So I'm leaning like Michelle Yeoh right now, but I don't know if that'll be the case in 7 days. And then I feel like supporting actress is the easiest category for it to drop. So I have Carrie Condon in supporting actress.
Yeah.
You too, David?
I have Carrie right now. That will change many times in the next 7 days. But here's the rationale as of 8:38 Eastern time today, which is I think even people who are maybe lukewarm on that movie, she is like the emotional heart of that film. The kind of, even when it goes weird and a little bit, hyperbolic, which some people are all in for. I'm sure there are a lot of voters who are like, I don't jive with this, the cutting of the fingers and but I feel like even if you're not totally on board with what's happening in that film, she's just the heart of that. She's like the emotionally resonant kind of core of that film. And I feel like even people who are not going to vote for it in screenplay, for example, in such a kind of splintered field, she could just have enough support. So that's where I am today. I felt like I would not have been saying that even after BAFTA, but when Bassett didn't win SAG, I feel like that only inured to Carrie Condon's benefit, not necessarily, Jamie Lee Curtis's.
Yeah, like Angela really should have won SAG. Like there's no excuse.
Heartbreaking for her.
I mean, I have Jamie Lee Curtis in second right now. Like I moved Angela to third.
Same.
Without SAG, I just don't see it happening.
No. We have another winner, everybody. The hot editor from Everything Everywhere All at Once. I just forgot his name again.
Paul Rogers.
Paul Rogers won for Everything.
He's so hot, you don't even know his name.
Like it's just like I'm not worthy to speak his name because I'm just obviously like he's a 10 and I'm like a 4. So like sorry. Ceremony, the Ace Eddies are over. Denton says we will now be able to leave the theatre and have a banquet-style dinner outside in the freezing cold. Have fun with that.
LA is not used to cold weather, and cold weather is like 60 degrees.
Yeah, LA and Sydney are similar. If it was that kind of cold, I would have. You walk around Sydney and people are wearing beanies and scarves in that kind of weather. So New Yorkers are like, really? So I totally get that. Now, there was another comment that was made. I'm really sorry I've lost it. I don't know who it was, but it's a good one. Imagine if SAG was first and then BAFTA like we normally do, right? So JLC wins at the SAGs, because I'm just thinking about supporting actress for the time being. But of course, let's also talk about Best Actress, It's another nail biter, and even Best Actor. Okay, so SAGs happen, and we think, okay, Brendan Fraser's on his way. So is JLC. She's done really well. She's kind of taken it off Angela Bassett. They're in a 2-horse race. And then you've got Michelle Yeoh. Yep, good on her. And then the BAFTAs happen, and it's like Barry Keoghan wins. That's an outlier. Kate Blanchett comes back from the depths, and she's like, I'm not letting you win this just yet, Michelle Yeoh. And then you've got Kerry Condon's like, you're all feckin' boring, and she takes the BAFTA. Would we be thinking about this differently? Would the Kerry Condon people in the group, which is all of you except for me and Sam at the moment, be more confident that Kerry Condon's got this, and then less confident about Best Actress because it's a complete disaster? What do you think?
Well, for Best Actress, I don't think the order matters, because for months everyone had Kate penciled in for BAFTA and Michelle for SAG. So I don't think that really changed anything. I don't think the order there matters. Like, the only thing that was unexpected about SAG was Jamie Lee Curtis winning. And it set a record with 4 wins, everything, everywhere, all at once. But I don't think, like, for that race specifically, it changed anything, because that's what we were all expecting for months. This is why I don't understand why people are so reactive. Like, right after a ceremony, I was like, you knew this was going to happen. You thought this was going to happen. It happened. And now why you're acting like it's changed everything. And supporting actress, I think if SAG were first, then everyone would just be like, everyone would be talking about, like, if Everything Everywhere could win 3 acting Oscars.
Yeah.
And which they are now anyway. But I think that would just I think that would even eliminate Angela earlier, because most of us kind of expected her to lose BAFTA and figured she would still win SAG, but her losing SAG first and then thinking, oh, she is probably going to lose BAFTA too, I think we would just rule her out, or most of us would rule her out earlier. So I think that would be, like, the only thing that would change.
Yeah. Before we go on, Haley Erickson, I'm sorry, I'm going to say your last name wrong. Girls are. Welcome to our chat, and tell your brother to hurry up. Like, I want Severance, like, now. So he's season 2, like, just get on with it. I'm getting really impatient. I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, Joyce, I think you make a lot of really good points there. But unfortunately, don't take this the wrong way, but you're not helping me. Like, you're just giving me more stuff to think about. Come on, man. All right. David, what are your thoughts on what Joyce is saying in terms of, like, this Kerry Condon? You'd probably be feeling a bit more confident if BAFTA happened last weekend and you're like, okay, this is where we're headed. What do you reckon?
Yeah, but I never would have picked her to win SAG anyway.
Yeah, right. Like, there was no way. Like, Banshee was going over 5. We knew that, right?
Yeah.
Like, everyone knew that.
Yeah. So it wouldn't impact my choice there. I do think it helps. I feel like in the last week, a lot of people are moving off the kind of fence on Best Actress for Michelle. I still think this is a coin toss. Like, anybody that says they know definitively is wrong. Just plain wrong, I think. Because I'm waffling. I still have Kate in my Gold Derby predictions.
Yeah.
Predominantly because of BAFTA, but the momentum is at the exact right time. So I do feel like the timing of these last few, the SAG win, which we thought, the Spirit win, even though these were expected outcomes, when they start accumulating at the right moment, it can only be beneficial. So I understand why there's a kind of, a feeling of a changing of the tide, but I do feel like that race is still very much a coin toss.
Yeah. So again, not really helping me.
No, not at all.
I'm kidding. So who hasn't had a chance to talk about this particular issue? Sam, what do you think?
Oh God. I mean, actress is definitely a coin toss, but I mean, David had a good point where he said the momentum is happening at the right time. And I think things for Michelle are happening at exactly the right time, even though Kate has won more awards than her, I believe, and a lot of important ones. It just feels like when Michelle Yeoh steps up there at SAG and accepts that award, it's like the whole room wants her to be there. everyone is like, oh, that feels like what a great moment we just witnessed. And that's kind of like why we watch award shows, is for these amazing moments when someone finally gets to like have their, moment in the sun. And so I think that in a very tight coin toss race, that's why I'm going for Michelle.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going with Michelle too, and it hurts me because, it's actually one of the requirements of my nationality that I have to actually predict Cate Blanchett. So I'm in a shit ton of trouble. But anyway, that's another story. Now, Charlie Kaufman, he has just received his honorary award, which is so fantastic. Ray suggests that we should talk about our favorite Charlie Kaufman film, and his is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and I totally agree. That's one of my favorite films of all time. That is a beautiful reflection on grief and love and loss, and I could watch it over and over again. And that, to me, is the key for me in how I judge films. I acknowledge the artistry and all that stuff, but if I can watch a film over and over again and get something out of it every time, then that just goes on my list forever. What about you guys? What do you think about your favorite Charlie Kaufman film? Because there's so many beautiful ones to choose from. Any takers?
I'm with you with Eternal Sunshine, just because it's one of those movies the first time I watched it, I got something completely different than the second time I watched it many years later. So I think, based on your experiences as you move through life, loving and grieving and losing, and you take away, or at least I did take away, something extremely different from it. I think I've seen it 3 times and found something new each time. So that would be my favorite.
Any other votes?
I mean, when everybody
I like that, and I'm also partial to being John Malkovich.
Yeah, that's a damn good one. So much, yeah, he's so talented. I was going to say this one too, by the way. I'm thinking of Ending Things. That's a quite recent one. That blew my mind. I think that was my number 2 of that. I think, was that last year or the year before? Beautiful, beautiful film. We have another winner, everybody. In comedy, variety, talk series, the nominees are, comedy, variety, sketch, sorry. The nominees are Inside Amy Schumer, Pause with Sam J, and Saturday Night Live. And the winner is Inside Amy Schumer. That's a little bit of a surprise there. I'm just trying to check whether that was actually in our predictions, and I think it was. Did anyone predict that? Because I just went with SNL. I always just go with SNL when it comes to these.
Maybe their reign is over.
Maybe.
It doesn't usually win this, though, at WGA. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
A whopping 55 people had this in our prediction center.
Wow.
It was
Amy's
in second
won
place
this before, so I guess they went back to her.
I watched one of the sketches from the new season. It was funny. It was good.
Okay.
Like I'll take it. I like Amy Schumer. That's fine.
I do like her. I think she's really talented. So good on her. So I think we're going to have the talk series next. The nominees there are Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, Hell of a Week with Charlemagne the God, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Late Night with Seth Meyers, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, The Problem with Jon Stewart, and Stephen Colbert presents Tuning Out the News. So we'll be getting a winner any moment there. I must say, in the last few days, I've seen nothing but The Problem with Jon Stewart on my social media feeds because of his complete evisceration of this mouth-breathing state Republican representative from Texas who just was able to expose the absolute hypocrisy with regard to your constitutional rights that you have for free speech and to bear arms. And it's a really, really stunning piece of work that Jon Stewart is able to do. So I hope he gets to win this one day. But in the meantime, we're waiting for the winner there, Ray. I'm sure you're going to let us know any second. I have Jon Stewart Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. I learnt my lesson last week. that I got that wrong. I think it was the PGA. I just decided that it would go to Saturday Night Live instead of Last Week Tonight. Do you all have Last Week Tonight in your TV variety talk series predictions?
I do.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, so we're just going to wait and see what happens there. Now, we're just being thrown for a loop here because Ray is now telling us that Oscar Nunez is on the stage he's from The Office, you might recall. He's presenting children's episodic, long form, and specials. So it's a bit chaotic because we don't have a running order. The WGA decided not to share that with the press. So that's okay. We can just manage on our own. Who would like to just talk about something random? Just tell me something that's going on in this Oscar race that perhaps we haven't really touched on yet. Maybe there's a category where you're going out on a limb and everyone else is going with the pack. That's the stuff I need to hear. That's what I want. I need to understand where you're headed, because these people on this chat room, everybody, they usually do really well in our predictions. Not me, I'm terrible. But these other 4 people do really well. So let's listen in very closely as to what you guys are doing. Who would like to go first?
What are you doing in song?
That's a good one. Song. Surely it's just Natu Natu and that's the end of it, right?
I just feel like it's going to be another Pacific. I've said that a billion times this season. But
I have been very scared about that one. I've never really felt, a lot of people that I talk to feel very confident about Natu Natu, but I'm always just like, oh, it's the only one. I know it's a great moment, it's a great number, but it's like, why is it the only one from RRR? Like, why is it the only one there?
Well, because India didn't submit it.
Sure, but they could have put it in other places. Like it could have, been in sound, and it could.
Yeah,
like,
that's why
other places where.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like most of these people, the entire membership, have an incentive to watch this movie to see how the song is used in the movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back on This Is
This Is a Life.
Everything. This Is a Life. I really think if they're just going to clean sweep Everything Everywhere, it would win. Because none of the other songs, like I love the Lady Gaga song, Rob, you were right. It makes me cry. Great ending. Holy cow.
Right.
What Miles Teller being like, it's my dad would have done, just weeping at the end. It's a great effing movie. But I don't think that song is going to win. I haven't seen Lady Gaga do one single thing this entire award season, right?
She's the only one who has not been announced as a performer.
And she's not.
So it's probably not going to be performed,
right?
Unless they're just waiting until the last minute to announce it.
She's too busy doing Joker too. She's immersed in Harley Quinn.
She's going for her next Best Actress nomination.
So I don't think that's going to win.
I thought they were wrapped. I thought they had wrapped.
Maybe they are.
Too, but I don't think they actually have. She must still be involved because we've been trying to get her on an interview at Gold Derby, and we had a little shot of getting her in Blood Pop, but unfortunately she's just so busy with Joker too. So I hope she performs the song. But it's like, why would you say This Is a Life could do it? I don't even know how that song goes. To be honest,
it's a credit song.
I'm so ready for them to perform that because they're performing.
I think the first time I heard it was when they played it when Michelle and Key won the Globes.
I gotta say,
I think that was the song, right? I think that was it. I think I heard the lyrics.
I love Stephanie Sue, so I'm glad she's going to perform it at the show. I think that's going to be great. Like, she's a great singer and so talented. So I'm in on that. I feel like if we did this, Joyce and I talked about this maybe a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember, but if they voted for original song after the performances at the show, it would just be awesome. I want that to happen so bad. Somebody at the seats putting their button or whatever it is. Because I got to go to the Oscars once in my whole life. It was great. I went the year Shape of Water won, and the song nominees that year, I honestly forget who won that year, but the other nominee was it
was Coco.
Yes. And the other nominees was This Is Me from The Greatest Showman. And that performance brought the entire auditorium to its feet. I could still remember Viola Davis, truly on her feet in the middle of the aisle, shouting at the stage because it was so good. And then it lost, and everybody in the room was like, that sucks. How did that happen? And I feel like this year they're going to have the Natu Natu performance, and it's going to be awesome. They're probably going to blow it up. And then everybody's going to be like, and the winner is This Is the Life, or This Is the Life, whatever. And they're going to be like, oh, okay, I guess so.
Well, that was my proposal from, I guess, now 7 years ago after Lady Gaga perform Till It Happens to You. And
yeah, that was another great one.
It lost to Writings on the Wall.
That's
a
another
song I
great
have never heard.
example.
Yeah,
That
that was a
could've been
great
a win.
performance at the show. It was unbelievably moving. And then it lost to the Bond song that's not as good as the Adele Bond
Never
song.
heard it. So
that really pissed me off. And I love Sam Smith. I've always been a huge fan of his. But Gaga Shall Not Be Denied. And when that performance, and like it was finally the chance for Diane Warren, it just was all lining up. And then it went to Writings on the Wall. And
they're just on the Bond kick now. So Bond, ever since Adele opened the floodgates.
But Adele's is good.
She certainly did.
Adele's is great. That's
That's the only Bond song of the winners that I've heard. I still have never heard No Time to Die.
Joyce never heard that one. Man, never will.
I've heard No Time to Die at least 100 times because I have a daughter, a 14-year-old daughter. So you can imagine Billie Eilish is everything in this household. We have a winner, everybody, for children's episodic long form and specials. The nominees there were A Perilous Journey, the episode from The Mysterious Benedict Society, Life by Ella, episode Thursday, Amber Brown, episode The Pilot, Life by Ella again, episode Prison or Palace, and then Circuit Breakers, episode Test Subject 13. And the winner there was Life by Ella, Prison or Palace. So that was Hernan Barangan, and they were able to beat the odds because vote splitting is a thing. And so there you go. Our next category is Comedy Variety Special. So I'll just quickly read out the nominees for that one. And that is the National Memorial Day Concert 2022, Standout, an LGBTQ plus celebration, The Problem with Jon Stewart, Election Wrap-Up Special. So here he is again. And Jared Carmichael for Nathaniel. That's a really strong category. I wonder who's going to win that. And the winner is, I just have a winner. It is Jared Carmichael for Nathaniel. Congratulations to him. That's really cool. All right. Well, things are moving along very swiftly at the WGAs, and for that we are eternally grateful. Back to song. I'll just be known for 1990 because it's just like the consensus pick, and I'm going out on a limb for a few other places, and I'm like, I can't be crazy here. But I've heard some chatter that the Rihanna song "Lift Me Up" from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever could even have a chance here. Does anybody rate that as a possible spoiler? And if not, would it just be the Everything Everywhere All at Once song because of this potential sweep? What do you think?
I think it's more likely that a Best Picture nominee takes it than Rihanna's song for Black Panther. I like the song, but I think it's more likely that Naatu Naatu loses because people are checking off the Best Picture contender that they're really backing this season.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see her perform it, and that maybe would, if we did the voting from the seats, she might win because, Rihanna's going to be great. I'm sure everybody's going to be thrilled.
Who do we have to contact to make the voting from the seats happen?
I don't know.
If we need more viewers for the Oscars,
I know
let's
they can make
that.
it if they care so much. If ABC specifically cares so much about ratings, make it interactive, not with the viewer at home, but with the audience there.
Yeah, actually,
members at home could also vote too.
And then people will try to look on the camera angles to see, like, oh, I saw Viola Davis hated that song. She voted for Top Gun. Like, it'll be great TV.
It would be so good.
In America, do you have when you have debates with people with little thingies and you have like the worm that goes up and down? Mm-hmm. That's what we need. So, like at the Independent Spirits, when Hassan Minaj was bombing, I mean, that worm would have been like, I think it's like you have two women and men or whatever, or Republicans and Democrats or whatever it is. You see, it would have been on the floor, and like, hopefully next weekend it'll just stay up the whole time because Jimmy Kimmel's going to kill it. But that's a great idea. I think it should go even further, and they should re-engineer that whole auditorium with the voice seats and buttons, and just turn around. Don't even watch the show, just listen, and then just turn around for the songs that you like. That would be cool. All right, so look, I don't know, man. I'm just looking at the last few winners of this particular category, and so last year, No Time to Die won. That was pretty much locked in. It seemed to be winning throughout the whole season, and I feel like that has some correlation to Naatu Naatu because it's not a Best Picture nominee, and it beat the only other Best Picture nominees in that category were King Richard, and that was a Beyonce song, so that was a strong contender, and the Belfast song from Van Morrison, which I didn't really think had much of a chance. That year, if it wasn't going to be No Time to Die, it probably would have been Encanto, but unfortunately, as we all know, Disney really screwed that up with not submitting. We don't talk about Bruno. The year before, the pandemic Oscars, Fight for You won. That was one of my favorite categories in a while. I remember being in the car with my kids and my wife, and we listened to all 5 songs. This is what we do because we're mental, and we all voted, and it was like we all had one song each. Like the only song that didn't get anything was The Trial of the Chicago 7 by Daniel Pemberton, Hear My Voice. But we all voted for one song each because it was such a close category. Most of us wanted to see Husavik win. And in fact, I was predicting that. I was like so convinced that Husavik was going to win that. And we mentioned that earlier during this live chat. But it was Fight for You by is it H-E-R or is it Her? I don't know what I'm doing.
Her.
I just give up. Her and DeMille and Tiara Thomas won that over the beautiful song from Eurovision. So that's, there you go. So it doesn't have to be a Best Picture winner, nominee in terms of what's out front there. But if it's not going to be Naatu Naatu, then it feels like, I feel like Top Gun Maverick could even do that here. So it's either Everything Everywhere All at Once or Top Gun Maverick. Any comments on the song category before we move on? No.
Okay. We do have a winner though. Exciting one too.
Go for it.
TV comedy series. Let me pull up the nominees. Do you have them, Rob?
I will quickly read out the nominees. So TV comedy series: Abbott Elementary, Barry, The Bear, Hacks, Only Murders in the Building. It always seems to be those 5 shows that seem to be really strong in most of these categories. But David, what was the winner? The
Bear. Very exciting.
That is
called it.
Very exciting.
That is so good.
So that means Abbott goes empty-handed, right? Did they give new series? They gave already, right? To Severance, new series.
Yep, that's correct. And it's not in the episodic comedy category either. So there you go. Abbott Elementary goes home empty-handed. Sorry, Quentin Brunson. You're just going to have to live with the fact that you have a humongous network hit and you're an A-lister now. I'm sorry, that's all you get. The Bear wins. That's really cool. I loved that show. I watched it in like 2 days. Just devoured it. Like a really beautiful Bracciole, which is the name of the episode that they're nominated for in the episodic comedy category. Okay, so things are moving along quite nicely. In acceptance speech, Guy for the Bear says, "We answered the age-old question, does comedy have to be funny?" Now, Ray, be very careful. You're stepping, you're really, you could be in big trouble here. Because Tony
Guy for the Bear. He has no name.
Exactly. Just be careful. I wonder if next year Cocaine Bear might be a nominee, and then we could just continue on this whole fascination.
Original screenplay.
Yes. I really want to see it. It looks wonderful. It looks really nuanced and layered. So we'll see. You know what, Nick C? I think we should talk about the original score category because that's giving me some heartburn. So let's see if I can remember all the nominees off by heart. So you've got Everything Everywhere, Babylon, All Quiet, Banshees, and what's the 5th one?
The Fablemans.
The Fablemans, thank you. Of course, the one and only legendary
John Williams.
That's a really hard category because I think you could make an argument for probably like 4 of them. I think Carter Burwell will probably sit this one out, unfortunately, because it's a really beautiful score. I think Babylon seems to be in front. Justin Hurwitz just won the Gold Derby Award, and we all know how important that is. You've got All Quiet, that's Volker Bertelmann, who is legendary. He was nominated for Lion when under his other stage name, Hauschka.
He was named to Justin Hurwitz, so he could exact revenge.
Yes, exactly. That's a very good point. And then Sun Lux for Everything Everywhere. That's the one of the ones that I really did not see coming, that nomination. And it really gave
none of Everything Everywhere's music nominations. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, they just went hard for this.
I know. I'm really really surprised by that, and the music in that film is actually really beautiful. And also, it reminds me with the costume design category, I didn't see that nomination either coming. And when I watched the movie again, I really paid attention to those elements and realized, wow, they're really, really strong parts of that film. So love it when they're actually paying attention and not just ticking off movies, although they might have been doing that. And then you've got Fabelmans. That he could win. John Williams could absolutely take that home. Although he's been nominated so many times before and not taken it home. So why all of a sudden now? So who would like to talk us through original score? It's really, really difficult. Really hard. Is it just going to be Babylon? What do you think? Go, Sam.
I've had Babylon out front for a while just because that seems to be the default, and it's very kind of the work there is very obvious and the score stands out, but it just makes me nervous not being a Best Picture nominee up against 4 other Best Picture nominees. So I've been kind of like waiting to switch it out of number 1 because Justin Hurwitz is also a fairly recent winner too. But I can't decide on what takes it out. There doesn't seem to be this year like a definitive front runner that people like are constantly talking about in years past. I think All Quiet on the Western Front could take it away, but again, that doesn't seem like a typical score winner either. So I'm kind of flying blind in that category.
Yeah.
But it just seems like Justin Hurwitz is like the front runner who everyone just kind of checks off because it seems like fine, but then loses at the last minute, and then we all go, "Oh, why didn't we see that coming?"
Yeah, kind of like First Man. We have a winner. Before we move on, I want to hear what everyone has to say about music because it's absolutely one of my favorite categories, along with cinematography. I could talk about it all day. Episodic drama. The nominees are Ozark for A Hard Way to Go, The Good Fight, yes, for The End of Everything, that amazing, explosive, pardon the pun, finale. Better Call Saul, Plan and Execution. Bad Sisters, The Prick. God, I love that show. Better Call Saul again, Rock and Hard Place. And Severance, The We Are. The winner is Plan and Execution from Better Call Saul, Thomas Schnauz. Legendary Emmy winning. I'm pretty sure he's an Emmy winner or at least a nominee. Congratulations to Better Call Saul. Missed out at the SAGs, unfortunately, but still was able to pull out a win here at
if they win this is its 3rd win in this category because it's paneled. It can't win when it's a wide vote.
Exactly. They just really love him. All right. So we've got Tiffany Haddish is now coming out to present episodic comedy. So I'll just quickly read out the nominees there, and then I'll get one of you to announce the winner. The nominees in episodic comedy are Grace and Frankie for The Beginning, The Bear for a Bracciole. By the way, if you've ever not had a bracciole, you need to get to an Italian restaurant or to my mother's house, and she'll make you the best bracciole. Moving on. Julia for Foie Gras. What We Do in the Shadows for Private School. Hacks for The One, The Only. And Reservation Dogs for Wide Net. It's an interesting category. Some shows there that haven't really done quite well at the Emmys yet.
Yeah, these episodic categories are great. They pick such unexpected shows and underappreciated shows. I love this.
Yeah, isn't that great? I want to see more of that. Like, we all love chaos, but we also love it when it's always in the writing categories at the Emmys too. Don't you recall like the days of Battlestar Galactica, Buffy the Vampire Slayer? That's where some of those amazing shows were recognized. And so I'm always looking forward to seeing to what the writers are going to nominate. All right. So we're just going to wait for the winners there, but we are going to talk about the scores, but I'm just literally tap dancing, not literally, I'm virtually tap dancing while we're waiting for the winner. And the winner is...
Wow.
Who would like to announce that? Why don't you go ahead, David?
Winner from, I believe, last year, Hacks for episodic.
Congratulations to Hacks.
They won. I don't know if they won episodic last year, but they won, I think, new series and comedy series. Yeah. I don't think they won episodic.
Episodic last year was The Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Tony McNamara has done really well with the Writers Guild for The Great, and obviously wasn't eligible, I think, this time. That's okay. So the winners there, Lucia Agnello, Paul W. Downs, and Jen Statsky. Congratulations to them. Sometimes I have a feeling sometimes that we, as a community, discount hacks a little, maybe because it's been around a little bit now and we're used to it winning awards and we feel like maybe they're going to spread the wealth. No, the industry loves hacks, and rightly so. It is such a good show. Even having Gene Smart winning last weekend slightly surprised me. I thought maybe people were going to move on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it really did.
I was all in on Gene.
Yeah, not at SAG. Not at SAG. Yeah,
I guess you're right. I have to learn these lessons the hard way. All right, so we're going to talk about score. Sam, I'm with you on The Batman, right? That was my number 2 film of the year. It is just an absolute freaking masterpiece. That should have been in this category for Michael Giacchino. And the fact that it's not pisses me off. That being said, what's going to win that category? You have already said it's going to be Babylon, right? Yeah. You think it's going to be Babylon.
No, the reason it's hard is because the Batman shouldn't just be here; it should be winning. Just gonna say,
I think you and I were on the same page about this before the nominations came out. That I had put it in number 1. I thought it was actually
yeah.
So that's really, really irritating. Thanks, Academy, for nothing. David, what do you think about Best Original Score?
I have Babylon, as Sam said, kind of by default for now. I'm looking at even what I have in number 2. I mean, if I was voting, I have the most kind of idiosyncratic taste. I love the Banshee score. That might be my vote. I just love his work. But yeah, I mean, I feel like just by default, I have Babylon out front right now. I don't know, and I don't know what would change my mind between now and next Sunday. I'm gonna try, as you said, Rob, to not overthink some of these categories. I think it's okay to just predict the front runner and stress about other things.
Yeah, but you know what? Before we move on to Chris and Joyce, I'm thinking that the reason why many of us, I have a feeling, are not sure about Babylon is because it seems so out in front in production design. And if it wins that and wins this, that's 2 Oscars for a film that couldn't make it into Best Picture. And that just seems mental to me. So I don't
think that's that weird. I mean, last year we had Tammy Faye winning 2, including a big one. True. So I also don't think, like, when the voters are voting, they think about this stuff. Like, we think about this stuff.
I don't think they think about it.
I can't vote for Babylon and score because I already voted for it in production design and it's not nominated for Best Picture, and I can't have it win 2 Oscars from its 3 nominations.
I don't think they think about it in those terms. I think it's more of they have the films they really love, which tend to be the ones that are in Best Picture, and therefore the votes just gravitate towards those.
Yeah.
That's true, but I also think a case like Babylon, it's probably a scene film by them, even though it didn't get into Best Picture. It's not like a tiny film that is waiting to be discovered or is underseen. So I still have Babylon as a placeholder because it is the most music. But I can see All Quiet winning. Like if they're just kind of apathetic about everything here, I can see them just defaulting to the strongest Best Picture nominee. And it also won BAFTA. It's like 3 notes, sure. But I think it is kind of memorable. Like it sticks in your head. I agree. I don't think Banshees is winning, even though I would love to see it. And I just don't really see Fabelmans winning this, even though this is its best chance to get a win from its 7 nominations, but I don't see it happening for them.
All right, well, Chris, can you just talk some sense into all of us? What's winning Best Original Score, for God's sake?
I mean, I have All Quiet winning. Babylon was one of my favorite movies, truly, of the whole year. I absolutely fucking loved it. It's so good, and I don't think it's going to win either of these Oscars. I don't have a winning production design either. I have Elvis winning production design.
Wow,
I think I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it could. The support for the movie does not support 2 Oscar wins. So I went with All Quiet, even though Everything Everywhere is the stronger Best Picture contender in the category. Just because like All Quiet has the most, it's the 3 notes, it's whatever, 1 note, whatever it is, it's memorable enough that I think people are like, oh, we'll vote for it. So I think All Quiet will end up winning there because I think it'll do really well below the line. And I think even if it doesn't win adapted screenplay, it's still going to win like maybe 3 or 4 Oscars. I don't know. So I have All Quiet winning. But if Justin Hurwitz won, I interviewed Justin Hurwitz. So, I love predicting people I interview because I'm just a total hack and I'm always going to support people I interview. But so he was amazing and I love him so much. And I think the score is awesome. But no, I don't think it's going to win. If it won, I'd be thrilled. I'm happy to be wrong, but I don't think it's going to
win. I have All Quiet as well. And that's because I'm a total hack. Always have been, always will be, and proud of it. I didn't interview Volker Bertelsmann, but I've interviewed him before, and because I've still listened to the Lion score, I love the score from All Quiet. That guitar riff, when that first happened in the beginning of the film, when the lead actor Felix Camera, is that his name, is walking through the field, and it's like, dun, dun, dun. I was like, what? What is that? Oh my! Did I hear right? This is on my TV, and then because I saw it on Netflix, and then it kept happening. I was like, this score is so interesting to me. I love it, and I also felt that way about the Babylon score. I was like, it was really hummable, and I was like really getting into it. They're the 2 scores that I feel are most memorable. And then, as David alluded to earlier, the score for Banshees is beautifully done. It's more pared back. It's metallic. There's a lot of melancholy in it. Beautiful work there.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Isn't it lovely? Fabelmans I actually can't quite remember, to be honest. I wasn't a really big fan of that film, being really transparent. And then, so I just feel like, and then the Everything Everywhere, I had to revisit to work out, yes, the music in that is really lovely as well. So I just feel like this is going to be All Quiet. I'm really looking forward to seeing Volker Bertelsmann win that Oscar, but it's going to be a tough one. It's really tough. So that's all very useful. Thank you for your insight. So as we're waiting, we've got documentary screenplay next. So I will read out the nominees once I can get them on my screen. Documentary screenplay. So we have Second Chance, written by Ramin Bahrani. Is that the same writer of The White Tiger? I think so. Yeah. Downfall, The Case Against Boeing by Mark Bailey and Kevin McAllister. Last Flight Home by Ondi Timona. Moon Age Daydream by Brett Morgan. And Viva Maestro by Theodore Braun. And the winner is, who would like to read that one out? David, do the honors, please, for us.
Moon Age Daydream. I think that was topping our odds.
Yeah, I think so. I was certainly predicting it. It was the only one of the 5 that I was really familiar with. I feel like a lot of voters might have felt that way too. I'm still pissed off that it wasn't nominated at the Oscars, Moon Age Daydream. I thought it was such a good documentary, such a beautiful film. It's a real shame, and it should have been in sound too. But anyway, that's another story. So while we wait for the next awards, there's a really great comment that I've starred here that I'm going to put up on the screen. So, question for the group. Let's talk about the shorts. They are always the ones that trip us all up. Okay, this is where you can make or break your Oscar pool. And for many, many, many of us, we either don't have enough bandwidth to see them all, or we just simply don't really care and just vote for whoever the consensus choice is. But I'm starting to kind of put my feelers out. I know our awesome colleague Matt Noble went to a screening yesterday at the Chevelle, which is this beautiful heritage theatre in the northern suburbs of Sydney. And he texted me last night when I was out somewhere, and I was getting all these texts from him saying he really loved the Ostrich one, which is actually an Aussie film, by the way, and he loved The Boy, the Mole, whatever the hell those animals are. And I asked him, I said, hey, I heard that The Boy, I'm just going to say The Boy, right? The Boy was, I heard some people calling it quietly to me, maybe a little boring, and like, because it's not a dialogue heavy film. And he's like, no, don't listen to that. It's beautifully made. It's very emotional, and it's the one that really got to him. And, you know, he's a really sensitive guy, and I trust his judgment. So I'm going with that one. And I'm going to see that on Apple TV Plus at some point this week, hopefully. And I'm just going to put my patriotism aside, my parochialism, for the Ostrich film. So who has any comments about the live action short film category so far? Have any of you had a chance to watch them? Do you have any informed opinions at all?
I'm going for live action. I'm going against the front runner in our odds, which the front runner they have is Les Pupilles, but I'm going with An Irish Goodbye instead. I think when I look at all three of the shorts categories, the thing that I find most helps me with predictions is like accessibility. What one feels the most accessible? That's like a quick thing that has a really easy way in of grabbing your emotions. Or being the lighter one in, you know, a sea of depressing ones. That kind of thing usually is what sets them apart. And The Irish Goodbye has an emotional pull. It's easier to get into. Les Pupilles is a little weird, I would say. It probably will be a little weird for some people. And The Irish Goodbye also has a good deal of comedy in it too, like laugh out loud comedy. So really? I'm predicting an upset there.
Wow. And I did say live action short. I should have said animated, but while I've got you, Sam, what do you think about the animated one? I'm losing my mind. Yeah. The
Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse is what I have. I think maybe some people said it's boring because it's probably the longest out of them all. So if you watch them back to back, like if you're sitting there thinking, I'm going to go and watch them, you know, all the contenders, so I know what I'm doing. That one is definitely longer than the others. So maybe if you watch them that way, you're kind of like, get on with it. But I think it, you know, we have so many things about animals winning these categories. And I think this one tugs at the heart in the right way and feels emotional like that.
Okay. That's very interesting. It's good to know. Yeah, the length is an issue, and Charles Bright, our colleague, makes a very interesting point there. Joyce, so we all know that you are the queen, the king, the queen. You're the emperor of the shorts. Just tell us what to put in there, for God's sake. Then I'll just follow you.
You don't want to do that. Although I did this is a category that I got 5 for 5 in nominations. One category I got 5 for 5, and the other one of the others I got 1 for 5. So just completely split. But for animated, I think the length will be an issue for The Boy. I agree. It is gorgeously animated, great animation, beautiful animation, but it's pretty long. It's like 30 something minutes. And if you look back over like the past decade, the winners have been like around 15 minutes long. And so one of my other predicting tactics for the shorts is to go with like the best title. And I think we this year is hard because there are two that are great, My Year of Dicks and the Ostrich one. So I feel like those can cancel each other out. So I think I might end up with Ice Merchants, which is short, great, and like Sam was saying, accessible too. And I can see that pulling an upset.
Wow. Okay.
If people watch it.
But Joyce, what if the two titles don't cancel each other out and we get someone who goes, it's a tie, My Year of Dicks and the Ostrich?
Well, then you need to get Riz Ahmed back to present it. To sing that Year of Dicks again. Yeah, I feel like I would, if only one of those great titles were there, I would probably pick one of them. But I'm like, they're both great, so I don't know. I'll just go with the one that I think is like more accessible than the boy. So
okay. And what about the other two? Just briefly, like, what do you? Oh, before you do, Joyce, I'll just say we have another winner. Documentary script other than current events. I'm just gonna scroll down to the nominees. Blah blah blah. Keep going. Documentary. Okay, here we go. The nominees are Benjamin Franklin for episode 2, the US and the Holocaust episode 1, Lucy and Desi, Nova for Ocean Invaders, Frontline for Pelosi's Power, and American Experience Plague at the Golden Gate. And the winner was Benjamin Franklin for An American, episode 2. Congratulations to Dayton Duncan. All right, so there we go. So, yes, the other two short categories. Regale us with your wisdom, please.
Live action, I think I'm going to wind up with An Irish Goodbye, too, instead of Lake Chile. I agree with everything Sam just said about it. And then what, Doc? I currently have Elephant Whisperers, but I think I'm going to switch to Stranger at the Gate.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And what's making you make that call at this point?
It feels like something that would provoke the I don't know what's the word, like the most response from them, I guess. It's like it's so like on the nose with what it's addressing. You know, it reminds me of like Two Distant Strangers. So
yeah. Okay.
You know what's interesting with that is it's almost an opposite situation of what I mentioned before, kind of being the apple in the bag of oranges, or orange in the bag of apple, whatever you want to say that saying. Mm-hmm. Normally this category, they're so like just really heavy, depressing, intense subject matter, but that's not the case. Like there's several of them that are not like that. So Stranger at the Gate might be maybe the most heavy out of them, which means it could be the one that stands out the most instead of something that's sweet and emotional. And
good point. Yeah. Chris, are you across the shorts at all yet?
Yeah, I mean, I'm agreeing with mostly what everybody said. I think that Ice Merchants is going to probably win animated over Boy the Mole, Fox and the Horse.
And you talk to them and you're not predicting them.
I know that's a tough beat. It's very long. Lovely animation, beautiful animation, like Joyce said. Great animation, but it's very long. So I think that one maybe would not win. And Apple is really, really doing a great job promoting it. So I think that's also why you're like, oh, that's obviously going to win, because it's been very noisy, the movie. But no, I think Ice Merchants would win there, and I think I also like Irish Goodbye for live action short and documentary short. I'm actually torn on the two mentioned, Elephant Whisperers and Stranger at the Gate. And then also How Do You Measure a Year, which I think is like really basic and like very obvious, but also like I cried at the end. I definitely did.
But you cry at everything.
I do. And it's definitely like As the Father of Daughters, the movie. And I don't know if the Academy is really like that anymore, but if it was like 20 years ago, I think it would have easily won. I could still see it winning, honestly, even though there's really nothing to the movie. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. I'll probably wait till next week to figure it out. I also thought the reason Stranger at the Gate could win is because Malala's been everywhere, and I think people are just like,
they've been pumping her out like all the events.
Yeah, it's just like they probably think she's going to win an Oscar, you know, that kind of thing. So I just think that'll help. The fact that she's just in every event will probably help it go over the top, but I'm still not sure too. Elephant Whisperers is, I definitely think, probably the easiest one to watch. It's on Netflix, right? And it's definitely probably like maybe anecdotally you would say like probably the most seen or whatever for general people, certainly. And it's about elephants, which people like. So I don't know what's going to win there. I really don't, but we'll see.
My favorite is actually Haul Out, but I don't think that's winning.
Oh.
No, I think that's the one that won't win. The only one.
That's really interesting. And Chris, it's so true. Like fatherhood made me become so much more weepy. And like I never used to,
everything I cry about.
Everything makes me bloody cry. It's just shocking. All right. So David, why don't you that's it. You have the last say on the shorts. What do you think? And I think also, yeah, go ahead. Tell us what you think.
The last say will be very brief because I have not seen enough of them to make any comment.
That makes it easier for you to predict then.
Yeah, when I don't have time, for people that don't have time that are watching this, our odds are usually pretty good at getting like 2 of the 3. And when I either watch a few and then make a choice based on what I think is going to win, and I haven't seen them all, I always guess wrong. So don't deviate from the odds. If you don't have time to watch all the contenders, stick with the odds. You'll probably get at least 2 of the 3 right. This year you'll listen to me. We'll get 0 for 3. You won't invite me back on the live stream. That's okay. No. But we usually do our odds usually do pretty good with these categories.
Yeah, that's actually really good advice. So let's stick with that. I'm going to stop overthinking things. That's what I keep saying. So I have a starred comment here from Simplistic Grace, who has joined us, I think, for most of our live chats. Thank you, Simplistic Grace, for your very insightful comments. How likely is a makeup and hair and best actor split? I really don't know who's winning makeup, so I can't predict best actor right now. I'm totally with you because I've got Austin Butler right now, but it could be Brendan Fraser. And if I'm manifesting, and if in my perfect world, it would be Colin Farrell. And in the makeup category, of course, you have Elvis the Whale, they're both probably front runners, I suppose. And Colin Farrell is in the Batman, and I didn't even know it was him until I figured it out, because I went into the Batman with zero knowledge. Like I'm just one of those purists for Marvel and DC, and I go in with zero knowledge, and I'm like, who is this fantastic chubby actor playing the Penguin? And when I realized it was Colin Farrell, I was just blown away. That makeup is so stunning. And by the way, that won the Gold Derby Award for makeup. So I'd love to know what you all think about the makeup category and whether there is this correlation with the acting categories like Meryl Streep and the Iron Lady, like Gary Oldman and whatever the hell that movie was called that I've forgotten. That's the one. So David, what do you think about this category of this question? It's a really interesting one.
Yeah, this is a hard one. This is one where we should overthink a bit. I have Elvis. I just made this switch. I think like post, I don't know, in the last week or two, I made a switch to Elvis in makeup because I'm sticking with Austin Butler for actor. I have not changed since SAG. I'm very wary of making too many changes post-SAG because the votership is so different. So I'm really being very careful of not, kind of putting all the chips on the SAG side of the table because, last year I should not have listened to the secret ballots and switched to Penelope Cruz. That was a big mistake. Should have stuck with Chastain. That's a great example for this one because didn't that win makeup and actress? So it happens. Yeah. I'm sticking with Elvis for now. I do think that Butler can still win even without SAG. And I think makeup will go along for the ride there too.
Okay. I'm really interested in this conversation. So what about you, Sam? What do you think?
I have the same thing. I think Elvis is actually going to win all 3 design categories. So I have makeup and hairstyling in there as part of a Elvis design sweep. Because I think it's just like the movie that's visually stands out, stands apart from everyone else. There is a correlation. It's hard because there's a correlation between actor and makeup, but there's kind of 2 options that could go this year. I just think Elvis is in a bit of a stronger scenario because it's a Best Picture nominee. Not that we've seen that rule can be broken, but it just seems like The Whale really should have gotten into screenplay. I was really shocked that Samuel G. Hunter didn't get in there because it's such a screenplay forward movie. It did manage to bring Hong Chow along for the ride, but I just have trouble seeing everyone going for that, especially because the main makeup aspect for The Whale is the fat suit and the prosthetics, which also is with the Batman. So if it's a close race, there's potential people who are drawn to that kind of makeup work also will split off to the Batman. So I think Elvis is going to take both actor and makeup.
Wow. Okay. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I have the same, and I have the same design sweep that Sam does too, because I think Elvis
This
is going to
the first
win four Oscars then, including Best Actor.
Chris at one point had Elvis winning 6 Oscars.
I did. I don't think it's that crazy though. Because what else did I have it winning? I'm trying to look. I had it winning editing and sound. I had which it would have won a sound.
No, cinematography. You had cinematography.
Oh, cinematography. That's right. Cinematography and sound. It would have won a sound if there were 2 sounds. If there were 2 sound categories this year, Elvis would have won one of those 2, I believe. So I don't think it's that nuts to think it could win sound, even though I don't think it will now. And cinematography, I still think it could win, though. I think All Quiet will probably win, but it could actually win 5 Oscars then. I mean, I might go back to that choice. It's silly as that is. It really, they like
Bohemian
the movie.
Rhapsody was the most winningest picture of that year. Yeah. Elvis could follow suit.
I mean, I don't know.
They like this kind of thing.
Other thing with the makeup is I think I think it's easier to wrap, as a voter, I would imagine, and this is just maybe projecting, but I think it's easier to wrap your head around being like, I know what Elvis Presley looks like, and we're going to make this kid look like Elvis Presley and like try to make it work. And even if it doesn't always look like Elvis Presley, the last 15 minutes is amazing. And he looks like, it's so uncanny at the end of the movie that I think you're kind of like just buying it. And then with The Whale, the makeup is not just the makeup of transforming Brendan Fraser into a morbidly obese man, but it's like a lot of the tech stuff that Adrian Moreau did is like really awesome and cool, but I don't think they think about it. Like, it's like they created technology to do the makeup for this, right? It was like 3D printing and all this stuff that had never been done on that scale before. And that's great. I know about this because I interviewed him, but I'm like,
you're not predicting him.
Is every voter going to be talking about this? Like, I think if you're if you're just watching the movie and like, what's the makeup look like? That looks cool. It's like, I know what Elvis looks like, so he's going to win. So that's why I kind of think it's going to win over The Whale. The Batman is great. I probably would have had him nominated like 6 or 7 times if it got it, but I guess not, whatever.
So what about you, Joyce? Where do you stand in the makeup category?
I've had Elvis winning makeup and actor this whole time, so I'm not going to change. I don't really see any reason to. And Elvis has actually won more makeup and hair awards than The Whale has. And I understand people jumping on, especially very early on, jumping on The Whale for makeup and hair just because of the fat suit. But I think it's so, like, kind of like what Chris is saying, like, it's so isolated to just that piece of prosthetics. Like, everyone else in the movie is, like normal makeup and hair. So it's like really just Brendan Fraser's character. And then with Elvis, there's just so much more going on. It's not just Austin Butler. It's Olivia DeJonge. It's Tom Hanks. It's like the whole cast. And it covers so much more time. And yeah, like that final segment with him older, like about to die, like it's, he's a little heavier too, not morbidly obese. But and yeah, I think it's the whole thing of like, we all know what Elvis Presley looks like. We all know what Priscilla Presley looks like. And I do think, like, for like the lay people who are voting, because everyone votes, not just the branch, I think that's what they react to. And I think, like, if it is just branch voting, they might think of all the technical stuff that Adrian Moreau did for The Whale, but since it's the whole branch, I think they're just like, man, he really looked like Elvis.
Yeah, absolutely. This has given me a lot of stuff to chew on, because I wasn't anticipating a design sweep for Elvis, but that makes some sense to me. It's certainly a possibility. That's a weird way of saying it. But you know what I mean. The last Australian film to do so well at the Oscars was Mad Max Fury Road. So maybe Elvis might follow suit. We'll see. Just in case you all, were wondering whether what country was responsible for Elvis, it was actually Australia. Anyway, so it could win makeup and hair. It could win actor. It could win sound, because it is a musical film, and that puts it already with 3. And then you've got production design and costume design, and that's Catherine Martin, who has already won 4 of those puppies. And so it starts moving up the ladder, and so it's something that we should be giving some thought to. And what a shame Baz Luhrmann wasn't nominated as well for Best Director. He just does not get enough credit for his vision. He and Catherine Martin, that's Baz Mark, just make the most beautiful films, but he sometimes seems to miss out. It's a shame. All right, so look, we're waiting on. Oh, we have another winner, everybody, because Rebecca Lenkowitz, writer of She Said, was honored with the Paul Selvin Award, and so that's why it was taking a bit long. We now have another category, quiz and audience participation. So I'm just going to see if I can find the nominees there, and it's just not coming up for me. I'm sorry. Quiz and participation. Where are you? There we go. Okay, so we have Baking It, Capital One College Bowl, Jeopardy, or The Weakest Link, and the winner is Baking It. Congratulations to Chad Carter, Neil Casey, Jessica McKenna, and Zach Reno. Very good. Has anyone seen Baking It? I would love to. Is that the one that's hosted by Maya Rudolph and
Amy Poehler?
That's the one. Yes. It used to be. Oh my God.
Andy Samberg.
That's the one. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I've never seen it. I'd love to because I think they're all so funny. But I only have so much time, and food shows are just killing me lately. I can't do it. It just makes me hungry, and then I have to go and eat, and I'm in a calorie deficit, so I just can't do it. All right. So that's that. We don't know what's coming next, but that's okay because we have plenty more to talk about. Let's talk about cinematography. The ACE Eddies are done, but the ASCs are supposed to be tonight as well, and I haven't heard anything about that yet. That's slightly alarming. But I love the cinematography category. I always talk about it. I love interviewing cinematographers. I love looking at their work. It's just such a visceral, visual element in filmmaking, and you don't have to be a technician to appreciate it, I think. Although we all probably acknowledge that the films that are the most beautiful tend to do really well in cinematography, and the ones with the most amazing shots that we weren't expecting, and the amazing use of light and color. And when I think about cinematography at the Oscars this year, I am still really, really surprised that Claudio Miranda, the cinematographer from Top Gun Maverick, was not nominated. Yeah. Chris, were you just totally blown away by that snub?
Oh yeah.
And, yeah,
I sure was.
Yeah.
But I guess in hindsight, I was maybe not, because I got to go to New York Film Critics Circle dinner this year, and he was one of the winners, and he was talking to another colleague of mine, and he was so heartened to have won from the New York Film Critics Circle, because he was like, I don't really expect for this movie because people don't take the movie seriously. And he's like, usually you could think of other cinematography, more cinematography forward movies that would have been recognized, at least because they seem like Oscar movies. And then this list of nominees feels very like that exact thing happened, because I don't think, God bless Roger Deakins for Empire of Light, but I don't think that is his top tier Deakins work.
No.
So I think maybe the bias against Top Gun did it. And I also was maybe just people were we know it's going to get it. Who knows? It felt kind of like Denis Villeneuve missing for director last year, which just is he's maybe we'll put Top Gun third or fourth or fifth on our ballot because I like these other ones better, and it was a robust year for cinematography maybe. So I guess it got knocked out. So then you're just left with what is going to win here. I have no idea. I guess All Quiet is what I have, but like I said, I think Elvis could win. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. Before we move on to everyone else's opinions on this amazing category, we have another winner, TV and New Media Motion Pictures. I don't even know what that means, but okay. TV and New Media.
It's just TV movie, basically.
Oh, okay, thank you.
It's their new name for TV movie.
What does that mean? TV movie. So I'm just struggling to get the nominees in front of me. Here we go. No, that's not it. Okay. Sorry. So look, the winner there was Honor Society. And here we go. And the nominees were Heart of the Matter, Ray Donovan the Movie, Torn Hearts, and Weird the Al Yankovic Story. So what's Honor Society? And are we surprised that Weird the Al Yankovic Story has been stopped in its tracks on its way to the Emmy night? That's a bit of a surprise, isn't it?
Honor Society was that Paramount Plus comedy with Angourie Rice
and Gaten Matarazzo,
right?
Gaten's in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, cool. Well, there you go. It won. That's really cool. So back to cinematography. The nominees, by the way, this year are All Quiet on the Western Front, James Friend, Bardo, False Chronicle of a Handful of Truths, Darius Konji, Elvis, Mandy Walker, Empire of Light, Roger Deakins, and Tar, Florian Hofmeister. I'm currently predicting Florian Hofmeister to take that home for Tar.
Would love to see it.
Yeah.
Sorry, you'd love to see that? Yeah, I mean, I think the work speaks for itself, and I'm hoping that this could just be one of those outliers because I don't really have a good reason for predicting it. I just feel like it's the best work. It's just breathtaking cinematography, and I really want it to win, but I would be totally happy with any of these nominees. Honestly, even Empire of Light, which I didn't like, sorry, but Roger Deakins is a legend. Mandy Walker, that's my Aussie compatriot, and I'd love to see a woman finally win this damn award. I mean, it just seems so ridiculous. This is the third female nominee, I think. That's mental. And then Darius Konji, I was one of the people that loved Bardo. I thought that was stunning, beautiful film. And then All Quiet, cinematography in that film is incredible. So this is a really strong category. Greg Fraser should be here for The Batman. I know it's a bit of a broken record. I think The Batman missed out on 2 or 3 categories that it should have been nominated in. But it's okay, Greg, because you won last year for Dune, so you'll be all right. So what are we thinking about cinematography? What do you reckon? Who wants to go first? What about you, David?
I think I have All Quiet, but I would love to see Tar win. I'm not courageous enough to predict it, Rob, but I mean, it would be my personal preference. I would mark that on my ballot for sure. But I think All Quiet, I mean, that leads our odds by a lot. And I could see, I mean, just, their proclivity for war films. The work is quite great. I mean, not to take anything away from the work. So I have that out front.
All right. What about you, Chris?
I have All Quiet also, but I'm curious to see what happens tonight, I guess, with the cinematographers. I still think Elvis could win. I'm like not ready to give up the ghost on Elvis winning 5 Oscars. So I'm going to probably go back and forth on it. All Quiet, though, I think is like, even before All Quiet became like a thing, I feel like its cinematography was like flagged as something that would get recognized along with international feature probably. And, I could just see it winning there. It might be one of these where they're just like going through the list and it's like, I don't see Everything Everywhere on here. What other movies were Best Picture that I liked? Oh, All Quiet. Okay. I'll just vote for that one then. So I don't know. I mean, Tar would be, of these nominees, Tar is definitely my favorite and probably the best, but I would love to see it, but I'm not going to predict it either.
What do you think, Sam?
Well, I have All Quiet on the Western Front, but this conversation is making me think of something interesting, which is Tar right now. If Michelle Yeoh wins actress, that would mean Tar goes home empty-handed, which seems incorrect. So cinematography is like the one place where they're like, let's throw something to Tar. I don't know if that'll happen, but because I think All Quiet on the Western Front just seems like it checks too many boxes for this category. But absent the assumed frontrunner of Top Gun, then some chaos could ensue.
And we love chaos. So Joyce, what do you think then? It's a tough category, isn't it?
Yeah, again, I would love to see Tar win. I think it's the best of these 5 here. But I also don't think if they're voting for Michelle Yeoh an actress, I don't think they're thinking about, oh, I need to vote for Tar somewhere else to ensure it would win, because there's no guarantee that even if you vote for it in cinematography that it will win anyway. So I have All Quiet. It is, a nice photography and great wide shots of
beautiful,
just trenches and carnage. And then some nice interior shots too. So James is not nominated at ASC. But he did win BSC. So, and I don't even know. I think I have Top Gun winning tonight. I don't know.
It's tough because
yeah,
I have this sneaking suspicion. This is probably complete nonsense. It usually is. We've seen All Quiet cinematography is fantastic, but we've seen that before, and maybe that actually helps it win because the Oscars love to go with what they like and they know. But it's not like it didn't. I don't think it broke any ground. James Franco did beautiful work in it. Don't get me wrong, but I felt like I was kind of even watching 1917, and that's why I just think like Tar is it's just on another level, and hopefully enough people in the Academy will recognize that that is really would be such a deserving winner. And by the way, as Chris mentioned, for Everything Everywhere All at Once to not be in this category is a bit of a question mark. Well, why didn't it make it in here? Like, it's got great cinematography. So that's interesting to me as well. But I just feel like, yeah, this is a really tough one, and I'll be really on the edge of my seat. And the other thing that Sam mentioned about Tar going home empty-handed, I know that it's probably not a thing when they're checking off their ballots, but I think the reason why that could be an issue is because it's still quite a popular film, like in the industry, people love it and they will want to give it something. And that's why I feel like it's going to win cinematography. And I actually have it predicted for screenplay as well. I just think Todd Field's going to take that one home. And that is, again, no guts, no glory, because I know that that's not what the odds are suggesting. So, yeah, it's really exciting, isn't it? And by the way, if you haven't seen Bardo yet, and you may not like the film because of what it's about, and it's very long, but the cinematography is just breathtaking in that. It's so good. So I'm super excited about this category. I really am. I love it when the Oscars get it right. All right. Anyway, just so you're aware, presenting the Patty Chayefsky Laurel Award for Television Writing Achievement to Yvette Lee Bowser. So a long salute to her. Ray says that it was a really lovely recognition for her. And then we'll move on to the next category. So, yeah, let's move on to something else. Sorry, I'm just thinking, what haven't we really gone over in great detail?
Well, why don't you explain your Tar original screenplay prediction?
Good question. Okay, good point. Let's do that, because I've been trying to, obviously not overthink this, but I am trying to just figure out where I've put it down. Okay, so the nominees at the Oscars for screenplay, I had it in front of me and now it's gone. Let's remind ourselves what's nominated in original. So you've got, go for it. Who would like to read them out?
Banshees, Everything Everywhere, Tar, The Fabelmans, and Triangle of Sadness.
That's correct. That's right. So Triangle of Sadness and Banshees are in the Oscars. They're not nominated tonight because of eligibility. Instead, we have The Menu and Nope. I would have loved all 7 of those to make it in because they're amazing films. So the way I've thought of it is this. I just feel like Everything Everywhere All at Once, I am not convinced it's going to sweep completely, although I'm already suggesting it's going to win 3 acting prizes, directing and picture. I don't think sometimes screenplay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes they go with the consolation prize there. And so it could be Banshees, and that's probably out front if it's going to be a consolation prize. I can't see it being Fabelmans. And I think Triangle of Sadness will go home empty-handed on Oscar night, and it's very fortunate to have received those 3 high-profile nominations. By the way, that was my number 4 film of the year. I loved it to pieces. So then you have Tar. Tar has done very well in precursors in terms of the critics, not necessarily the industry. Okay, so I acknowledge that. Todd Field is very, very popular within the industry in terms of him being like a real artist. And I feel like if they're not going to give it to Cate Blanchett, then they want to acknowledge the power that film has and what it's about. It's about cancel culture, and it's about predatory behavior in the arts. It's about women's place in the arts. It's also a very snobbish, bougie type film, and the Academy loves that. So that's where I'm at. I know it's not a lot. I know, if I was in court right now, I would totally lose. But I'm just curious now to see what you all think of this, because I don't think this category is sewn up for anyone. I really believe it's completely wide open. So I'd love to hear what you all think. Joyce, what about you first?
Again, would love to see it. I don't even know where I have Tar. Probably third, I guess. I just feel like it's gotten like all these nominations for its screenplay, but it hasn't actually won a lot because it's really been just between Banshees and Everything Everywhere. So I've been on Banshees for forever, but I feel like just with the love for Everything Everywhere, it could just take this with it. I agree. Sometimes this is like the consolation prize if a movie's not winning Best Picture. So you could still argue it for Banshees that way. And, Martin McDonagh, he was last time for 3 Billboards. I guess you could say he was the front runner. But he lost to Get Out, which I don't think was an upset at all. Like I thought that it made sense. And obviously that movie was also controversial. 3 Billboards, not Get Out. And Get Out was like the more exciting film. And a more original too. So, but I think that Banshee's script is more writerly, and it's also like the dialogue, there's more like dialogue between like characters, whereas like Tar is a lot of monologuing by Kate, which is great. But I feel like for, again, like non-writers in the Academy, they might just view this as like, like there's more like interaction like between like the Banshees characters than like Cate Blanchett just giving a speech on stage for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or like yelling at her students at Juilliard,
The Kate show.
Yeah. But I think Everything Everywhere would probably just win out at the end, even though I think like as a screenplay is weaker than both Tar and Banshees.
I also think, I didn't find Everything Everywhere confusing, but I hear that throwaway a lot of, I loved it even though, I found the plot hard to follow. I have a hard time believing that people that can't follow a screenplay are going to give it a Best Screenplay award. Like I could see giving it Best Picture because you love the performances and the visuals and the editing, like the whole package. But if you're confused about the plot, I just don't know if people are going to give it, a screenplay award. So that's why I still have Banshees out front. It's going to win tonight. Everything Everywhere is going to win tonight. There's no question. And that will not really help me figure out what to do here, because I really just do feel like, for everything that Joyce said, of course, I won't reiterate because she said it better than I will, but also just for that little fraction of voters who are going to vote for everything in Best Picture and 1 or 2 or 3 acting categories, but still say, well, I didn't really follow everything that was happening. They might not give it a screenplay prize. And that's what I'm thinking.
That's a really good point. I like all these points. What about you, Sam?
Well, co-sign everything that's been said. I have Banshees out front, and I think a really good reason why, in addition to what's been said, is that this is also a really beloved movie and also beloved by actors. Just like Everything Everywhere, it also got 4 acting nominations. Actors are the largest body of voters in the Academy, and I think they're going to recognize that this is a very writerly script, all the fast-paced interactions between the characters. So I think this is the one place where Banshees can have a nice victory.
Okay, final thoughts from you, Chris.
I have everything everywhere here, so I'll disagree with everyone. I think that they're just gonna, like, if they love the movie, they're gonna just vote for the script. I wanted to pick Banshees, and I think everything Joyce said is right. It does feel like the better script, and obviously Banshees is also well liked, but man, I just can't imagine. I just think people are just going to be like, yeah, everything everywhere. I would make an argument. I would rather make an argument for like Todd Field winning Best Director, but even that ship has seemingly sailed. I don't know. I think they're just going to, this is just a steamroll for this movie. They love it. So I'm just putting it down for everything. And then we'll see how many it wins, basically. I don't know. It could easily lose, but I think the difference is it's more like it is a consolation prize kind of, that does happen like we're saying, but I think maybe that happens when the movie that is not as well liked as Everything Everywhere, and there's not necessarily a screenplay there for it to win or something. So I don't know. I think it's going to win. I think it's just going to go all the way.
It's actually not a bad idea, and that's what I was thinking with the top 5. And so if I'm doing that, I should probably follow suit. I know what you're saying. You just put it everywhere. You know it's going to do quite well, unless we just have a blind side and Everything Everywhere is just not the Academy's cup of tea. We don't think that's likely, but stranger things have happened, and so it's possible that it doesn't do well. But if it does, then you might as well just line it up as many times as you can, and that's going to help your prediction score. So it is a very good point. And there's so many great points that were made about this category, but I totally agree about Banshees being it's such a beautiful script. Not only the dialogue, which Martin McDonagh is so good at, he's so good at dialogue, but he's also very, very good at tone and about balancing comedy, drama, tragedy like he does in this film. Particularly, that's what I love most about it, actually. Every word, every line is just so meticulously thought out. I would love for him to win this for this film. I just love it so much. I get what you're saying. I'm just going to stick with Tar for now. I'm not convinced Tar's going home empty-handed. But when we get closer to Oscar night, I will probably have to just come to terms with the fact that I'm wrong, as usual. All right, so Yvette Lee is still talking. Her speech has now gone past 10 minutes. She's forgetting that we have 4 people on this live stream who are on the East Coast. It's getting late. Yvette, we think you're amazing. We're very happy for you, but get off. Okay, we have other things to do. All right, so while we wait, let's now talk about Best Director, okay? Because yes, DGA is very prescient. We know this, but I still have this. I can't even put it into words, but I still have this lingering doubt that the Daniels will not win. And I just don't know what it is. And it's not my bias against the film. Nobody come at me. I love the movie. Calm down. I just feel like they're both very young. They're both inexperienced, relatively speaking. And I just have this feeling that they may be in danger. So do any of you agree that the Daniels are not locked for this category? That's what I'm trying to say. No, you don't agree.
I mean, I would say, I want to say it's not locked, but I mean, it feels like it definitely is. But I just keep going. Like I said earlier, I was like, Spielberg is not going away. I just feel like he's just hanging around doing every interview he can and doing every bit of press that he can. And everyone loves Steven Spielberg. And I know the movie didn't take as well as maybe it should have. Certainly, I loved it. I thought it was awesome. And I would have it winning multiple Oscars if it was my Oscars. That, Babylon, and Top Gun would be sweeping the ceremony. But I don't know. I could see him if he won on Oscar night. Would you guys be really surprised? Or would you be like, oh, I guess I should have seen it coming, right? Like that's what I keep thinking. Like it would just be so obvious for him to win. And the Daniels and Everything Everywhere should steamroll. But like you said, they're young. I think if you're ranking the stuff, I actually think their directing would be underneath the picture of the actors and the script and the editing, probably, if you're going like ranking what makes the movie so good. So I don't know. I could see them lose. I'm not going to do this, but I really want to. Let's just say that. I will not pick against them, but I really want to.
Wow. That's a good point. All right. So Sam and Chris have spoken. What about you, David?
I had Spielberg for a while. And
Same.
I was going with the Daniels, if not in director, then screenplay. So now that the Daniels have really emerged strongly in director, I felt good about going to Banshees and screenplay, which I think is what's going to happen. I mean, would I be shocked if Spielberg won? No. After the Globes, I was feeling really good about predicting Spielberg, but The Globes are like a year and a half ago now in terms of my memory of this very long, protracted season. So, you know, I just feel like that he hasn't picked up enough momentum, and the Daniels seem to have it. So I won't bet against them.
All right. What about you, Joyce?
Yeah, I have the Daniels, and it's just really a lot of it, similar to Best Picture, is that there is no solid alternative to the movie in Best Picture or to them in Best Director. Like, yeah, like you were saying, you know, Steven won the Globe, but it feels like a billion years ago. And I just, like by that point in like nearly mid-January, January 10th, it was already clear that The Fabelmans was faltering. And it hung on to those 2 wins at the Globes. But I always felt like that could have just been like his Scorsese Hugo Globe win, and he's like not going to win the Oscar. You know, like that movie is like there's just no passion behind it, and it doesn't seem like they care about giving him a 3rd Oscar. Whereas there is clearly a lot of passion behind Everything Everywhere, and then, you know, like the Daniels lost the BAFTA to someone who's not even nominated here, so. It's just like things are
and then they
up.
won the DGA.
Yeah, they won the DGA. So
I guess I would say like the one reason I keep going to Spielberg is you're right, and everything you said is right. That said, I'm like, Best Picture, you could argue there's like at least 4 or 5 other alternates, and that's why none of the alternates have popped, really, right? And you can make a case for Banshees or Top Gun or All Quiet. That's 3 right there. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I do think there is like, you could argue that it does coalesce a little more around Spielberg than the other 3. Like, I don't think Ruben Östlund is a serious contender.
Well,
Todd
he's
Field,
no offense to Ruben.
Right. Todd Field is not really. Mark McDonough
even
isn't
after
really
my
either.
spotlight, Joyce, nobody.
Well, that's #1 in my heart, but
I didn't sway any voters to Ruben with my little piece.
I don't know. You should pull some
the week.
voters before Tuesday and see.
Well, here's a good point. What about what Tom G says? If Berger was in there, I think we'd be having a serious conversation about him. And I know the DGA he lost, but if we're thinking the Daniels don't have this in the bag, I would, for one, would be slightly concerned about Berger winning this because All Quiet is so beloved, right?
But remember Sam Mendes? We would have thought that about him too for 1917. I just think Everything Everywhere is the most unique film of the year, which is one of the big factors it has going for it. You can't categorize it in a way like there's nothing where you say like I've seen this before, and so much of that has to do with the directorial concept, I think. So I just think the Daniels would win regardless of who's there, to be honest.
Yeah, even if Berger were here, I don't think I would predict him to win. Like, I do think the overperformance by All Quiet at BAFTA was mostly a BAFTA thing. Like, I don't think the film will do as well at the Oscars. And I guess you could say like, oh, it could have gone into directing and editing and acting if there was more time for voting. But even if he gone in here, I just like, I don't think like that's his direction is like not, how do you say this? It's like, it's not like highbrow enough for them.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
we have another winner, everybody. So I'll just interrupt you. Apologies, Joyce. Drama series. The nominees are Andor, Better Call Saul, The Crown, Severance, and Yellow Jackets. All fantastic shows. And the winner is Severance. That's so awesome. Congratulations to Chris Black.
Why it's won 2 awards tonight?
Because
last week or whenever, I don't know, when did we do this? I don't know, last week. I was saying that how Severance keeps underperforming, like it's not winning anything.
Yeah.
So then like I couldn't predict it for anything. And now it wins 2 awards. So
I know, right? It's always the way, but it has been underperforming. And yet it's finally won. So yes, the winners there were Chris Black, Andrew Colville, Kerry Drake, Dan Erickson, Mark Friedman, Helen Lee, Anna Ouyang, Monch, and Amanda Overton. Congratulations to them. That's an amazing show. I can't wait for season 2. I've seen the whole season 1 twice, actually, which doesn't happen very often because, as we all know, we have to watch a lot of stuff, and it's really hard to watch it all. But sometimes you make an exception and you just watch something again. Such a great show. I'm very happy for it. All right, so we're getting closer to the pointy end of the evening, and so we only have a few more categories to go. There's something that I really think we need to talk about, and that is documentary feature at the Oscars. This night is not going to help us at all. So let's just think ahead, especially with now that we've seen the winner at PGA and DGA. So I, for a long time, thought it was going to be All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, but I've switched to Navalny because I saw it and was blown away by it, and then thought, well, I think a lot of what's going on in the world today has a lot of relevance. I think it'll be a really nice FU with the finger to, I guess, maybe Vladimir Putin from some of the Academy voters. So, Chris, where are you at on documentary feature?
I keep flipping between Navalny and Fire of Love. So Fire of Love has performed really well, and it's also, I think, just really well liked, but it doesn't have that political edge. I mean, I don't like the thing, like it would be like a moment, right? If Navalny won, but yeah. I don't know. I just keep going back to Fire of Love. It won Ace, right? It won DGA. So I think that's like pretty solid, and people like it, and it's easy to watch. It's on Disney Plus. I think people have seen it. And everyone does seem to like it. So I'm still torn on that one. I think I have Fire of Love at the moment, but I'm going to go down to the wire, picking between those two. And then I have All the Beauty and the Bloodshed in a distant third at this point.
Wow. Okay. What about you, Joyce?
I have Navalny because I think that's it's the most topical one. And like, they're just going to respond to that. And then like you were saying, like, it's like, it makes them feel good voting for it.
Yeah. Yes. They love to virtue
signal. Act like they've changed the world with their vote. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, some of them probably have their heart in the right place, but the virtue signaling that comes out of Hollywood sometimes is a thing. We have to acknowledge that. So, yeah, I think that's a really good point. What do you think, Sam?
I've been waffling between Navalny and Fire of Love. I think I have Fire of Love in first place at the moment, but I'll probably change it 2 or 3 more times before the Oscars. I think Navalny would make them feel good in terms of in the landscape we're in, especially with the war in Ukraine. That would make them feel like they've done something, and it's also a thrilling documentary. I think Fire of Love would make them feel like it makes you feel good watching it. I think it has a bit of more of an emotional pull. It gives you these 2 characters you can follow along with this beautiful photography. And so I think that has, a strong factor going for it there too. It also won the Ace. So I think either of them could take it, and I'll switch several more times.
Final words for you, David.
Every time I pick Navalny, it loses. So I am not going to. I'm not picking it now. I will pick it. I think that is my final choice, but I'm going to put it in as late as possible, so I hopefully get it right this time. But yeah, I mean, I think it has been very uncertain all season, but I think that is where I'm going to land.
Okay, very interesting. Like, while we were talking, we have another winner in limited series. The nominees are, one second, where are you? Limited series. The Dropout, Fleischman is in Trouble, Pam and Tommy, The Staircase, and The White Lotus. And the winner is, huge surprise, The White Lotus. That's just winning everything these days, isn't it? And I'm here for it. I'm all over this. I think it's an amazing show. I'm happy for it to keep winning. I love it how in every awards group it's in a different category, depending on your eligibility rules. That's slightly irritating, but
love to win in all 3 genres.
It's just so damn good. It wins everywhere. And next year it's going to win documentary. Like, it's literally just wins everything. That's really cool. So congratulations to The White Lotus, Mike White. He's having a real moment, isn't he? So yes, as we wait for the next category, I've got a really great comment here. Once again, Simplistic Grace is just killing us with these great comments. It's really good. So let's talk about, does narrative matter? Because some pundits like to really hammer that home as an important reason for picking things, and sometimes narrative doesn't matter. And they just love the performances and the films that they love, and that's the end of it. Joyce, what are your thoughts on this? Because, you've been doing this for some time. Maybe sometimes narrative does matter. What are your thoughts?
I think narrative matters more at other award shows, namely SAG, than it does at the Oscars. I think the Oscars care the least about narratives. If they did, then Glenn Close would have won, Chadwick Boseman would have won. But if you want a narrative-based win, go to SAG. So
Yeah, that's true.
I think the difference there, I think the narrative maybe matters if it's an emotional narrative. They want to feel good about something. It's not enough for someone to just be overdue. Like Glenn Close's narrative was just like, come on, y'all. It's been enough times. Shouldn't she have an Oscar? That's not really a narrative. Like, a narrative has to kind of like get into the voters' heart a little bit and make them care in that way in order for it to be successful.
That is spot on. I'm just trying to think of examples. I guess Ennio Morricone and just certain legends that have. I think that's a really good point. It's just saying, this person's overdue for an Oscar, and therefore there's a narrative there. That's what I really struggle with that, and that's why I'm not so sure about Brendan Fraser all of a sudden having this narrative because of his past and what he went through. And yeah, that's a really good point. David, what are your thoughts on this?
I totally agree. I feel like it is a factor. It is not the factor. Going back to Glenn Close, who you both mentioned, that film just was not loved. The Favorite, they loved the film. They love Coleman. They love that outrageously good performance in The Favorite. So I'm sure Glenn was second and probably, in the mix for the win. Like, narrative helps a little bit, but it is not the determining factor.
And Chris?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I love the narrative stuff. I'll definitely use it when I want to, and then not when I don't, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But absolutely. But I also think, like I said this before SAG, and it proved wrong, but I think it'll hold true for the Oscars. You can't have the same narrative in the same year. And so, like,
this is his favorite theory.
It is, though, because like Hugh Kwan is the comeback. You have that narrative, like the comeback narrative. We love that narrative, right? Like, oh man, this person really made good. They finally did it, and that's him this year, right? And I don't think Brendan Fraser could also be that same narrative. He would have to be like the overdue narrative. But then you're like, is Brendan Fraser overdue for an Oscar? And it's like, not really. He was a really fun actor in like The Mummy and George of the Jungle and like, Encino Man. I love those movies, but like, it's not like an awards kind of thing.
That's right. That's
and that's why I went with Austin. I feel like then you would go back with the performance. So I don't know. If Brendan Fraser won at the Oscars, I would not be shocked, but I'm still going Austin Butler because of that, I guess.
Arthur Valadares in our comments makes a good point, I suppose. In a super even race like actress this year, narrative maybe can push one over the edge. And in, I guess what Arthur, I'm assuming you're arguing is Michelle Yeoh might have some narrative there as someone who's been in the industry for a long time and never really got her due, and also the first Asian Asian identifying woman apart from the, I can't remember her name now, I'm sorry, who is, it'd be a really historic win for her. And also Cate Blanchett has 2 Oscars already. I think there's some of that might be important. So, by the way, we had another category announced, but unfortunately we don't have a winner. But we do have a winner for original screenplay, the final award of the night. Just quickly, the nominees there, as you know, are Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, The Menu, Nope, and Tar. And the winner is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert win the WGA. They are just winning everything. Congratulations to them. Pretty happy with that. What do you think, David?
I'm just laughing because we do not know what won comedy series at comedy talk variety. We don't know.
No.
It seems they announced a winner and the sound in the room went out, so we don't know.
That went to John Oliver.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. We do know. Thank you, Joyce. We do know.
That is the last one we're announcing here, so that's the
right.
winner.
Beautiful. Well, any final thoughts on EEAAO? Because it's just done so well this season. It's won everything.
It's gonna get them all the whole way.
I mean, do you all have Jamie Lee? Who has Jamie Lee Curtis then?
Me.
Just Rob. You okay, and Sam too. Okay.
The only thing hurting her for me now is Stephanie Shue. And she won at the Independent Spirit, so we got to see a beautiful speech. That's, that will hurt Jamie Lee a little. But I just feel like, I just have this feeling that in my gut that Jamie Lee Curtis is probably going to have enough of a plurality to take this prize. It's going to be so close, though. And, I'm sad for Angela Bassett because a month ago I thought she had this in the bag, and I love Kerry Condon. So, and Stephanie Shue. So it's a killer category. And Dolly DeLeon.
That was a terrible snub.
I know. Oh, it broke my heart. Gosh, she's so damn good in Triangle of Sadness. She just blew my mind. Anyway, Angela Bassett, maybe she won't do the thing. We'll see. All right. Well, thank you to Ray Richmond at the WGAs for giving us all these winners as they were being handed out. We really appreciate you. Thank you to everyone in our comments, and we've had almost 300 viewers tonight. That's awesome. And of course, I just want to say thank you once again to David, Chris, Sam, and Joyce for joining us tonight. And look, all I can say is we are really now in the final stretch. We've got the Oscars next weekend. I don't think we have any other precursors that I'm aware of. We have the ASC, and we know that's announcing tonight. You're just going to have to go onto Twitter and find out who wins because we're all going to bed. So join us for Chris Beecham and I will be doing our annual 23 categories in 23 minutes or 24, however many it is. That'll be out this week. Our podcast is out every week with our roundtable with Charlie and Tony. Of course, we've got Chris and Joyce and their amazing popular podcast / slugfest. And we'll be doing a pre-show on Oscar Day. I'll be hosting that with a whole bunch of us joining throughout the day. And then after the Oscars, Matt Noble, my mate, will be hosting the post-show. Then we will all go into a coma. And then the next day, it's Emmy season. So buckle up.
Tony's season.
No, look.
And Tony's.
Look behind me.
Here.
Yeah.
Don't forget the Tonys, of course. And we will all just copy whatever Sam and David predict. So that's how it works. Thanks again, everybody. And you have a lovely evening. And thank you again for joining Gold Derby. You know this is where it's at. There's nothing better than Gold Derby when it comes to awards coverage, and you all know it. Thank you and good night.